Oh, we're live. Yes, we are live. Okay, cool. That took
Ew.
a second. Hi, everyone. We be live. We're going to be covering the news on atheism, religion, and some other things, but mostly religion. Around the world, we have a global perspective. Other shows usually have a focus on certain areas. Okay. But we try to be as global as possible. Oh my God, we got a donation. That's amazing. Well, we passed oh no, we got it before. Well, thank you guys for supporting us. And whatever. Okay, so today, Susanna, is it like very, you know, what kind of news do we have? Funny, tragic, in between,
Today it's actually an even mix
even
of good
mix?
news and
Okay,
bad news. Most of it
good
is
news.
actually like pretty good or not devastating.
Not devastating is good news by our standards.
Yes.
I
Yes, yes, yes,
yes.
yes.
Okay,
Like
cool,
not
cool.
something we support, but not ruinous. I'll
Yes.
take it.
And also, what countries are like being highlighted today? Like,
We have a lot of news from India. We got some stuff going on in the Gulf. And we big news in the US, lots of news in the US and France as well. Surprise appearance by France. Juicy one too.
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Surprise appearance by France. I like the way you describe it. Okay, okay. So, oh, be careful. Your microphone
Oh,
is
sorry,
making a
I thought I was
lot of
muted.
noises. Yeah, okay. So, can we clap for the first one? Oh, Mars is here. Hi, Mars.
Yes,
Music
we
guy.
can.
Forever Stormy is here. Secular Rarities in the Lifetime. Music guy. Casey. Hi, Casey. ABC is here. ABC, you said hello like a million times. Stop doing that. Bengali Hindu is here. And PK is here as well. All right. Let's. Oh, hi D. Okay, let's clap for the first news.
Okay.
Okay, wait. First news.
First news, US panel recommends sanctioning India over religious freedom violations. So the question is, will India be sanctioned for religious freedom violations? Let's dig into it. For the third year, an American panel on international religious affairs accused India and other countries of engaging or tolerating systemic, ongoing, and egregious violations of religious rights. On April 5th, the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom, or USRIF for short, released its annual report, which noted that religious freedom in India has, quote, significantly worsened. USRIF recommended imposing, quote, targeted sanctions on individuals and entities directly involved in the violations of religious freedom. The recommendation added that barring an individual's entry, the recommendation added barring an individual's entry into the United States. The report states that in 2021, the Indian government, quote, escalated its promotion and enforcement of policies that negatively affect Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Dalits, and other religious minorities. India is, quote, engaging in and tolerating systemic, ongoing, and egregious violations of religious freedom, the committee report said. The list of countries with worsening religious freedom also included China, Iran, Nigeria, North Korea, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia, among others.
Wait, those are the list of the ones countries that are bad or worsening.
Those are countries that are also on the list of countries
Okay.
as they're classified as a CPC or country of particular concern.
Okay. Wow. So India is on a list of countries alongside with Iran and Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Oh,
And
how does that feel?
its neighbor to the west, Pakistan.
How does that feel, India? How does that feel, India? Are you not ashamed? I mean, Indian government. Let me say that. Okay, like, is this not embarrassing? Are you not embarrassed?
Well, it's not the
The
first
world.
time. This is the third year that they've gotten this designation. And of course, India's Ministry of External Affairs dismissed the committee's findings, calling it biased propaganda and the product of anti India lobbyists in the United States.
Yeah. So, by the way, being these recommendations doesn't mean necessarily that the sanctions are going to go through or not, right? But at least it's a step I mean, I don't think it will because it's goddamn. It's like India. India is like the huge country with a lot of, with a major economy, right? Like people were talking about how hard it is to, sanction Russia. I think okay. So let's see, India GDP, total GDP is my internet. Why is it not showing? All right. I think hold on, let me do it on my phone. For some reason my computer is just not working. So I think like what kind of sanctions? Oh, here. 2.6 trillion dollars in GDP, and Russia. What kind of sanctions that we're talking about? Oh yeah. And Russia is 1.4 trillion. So India is like almost like getting close to twice as big as Russia, right? In economy, like you can't just like with the economy as big as India, you can't just be like. But what kind of sanctions we were talking about? Like, is this individual sanctions or like just?
So here's the thing: this whole talk of sanctions caused a lot of attention in Indian media. It was like on the top of the headlines, like everyone was like, "Oh my God, the U.S. is going to sanction India," blah blah blah.
No way. This is
No,
not
I
gonna.
want to talk about I want to unpack this a little bit. One, we need to really dissect who is recommending these sanctions. So, the United States Committee on International Religious Freedom is a nonpartisan branch of the State Department. This is a branch or panel on the State Department that simply makes recommendations to policyholders, to legislators, right? They have no ability to actually create and enforce any mechanisms, any laws, any direct bilateral relationship directives at all. They simply are making recommendations to the people with the power to do so. So it was kind of funny to see people freaking out about these sanctions because I'm like, this is just one panel that has literally no power at all to exert
Right.
these. They're just saying, hey, this is one thing we recommend. And that was one piece of the recommendations. So I actually found the report. Wait, let me share my screen and we can look at this together.
Yeah. So, but before you read this, Forever Stormy is like, let me read this. Forever Stormy in the live chat, in this Twitch live chat, by the way, follow us on Twitch, is saying it's not even major sanctions, just ban some of them from entering the US. It would be symbolic, but it will wake people up. I mean, it's not even a ban of some people for some people entering US. It's a recommendation on banning some people from entering the US, and even the recommendation enough is newsworthy enough for people to be like, God damn it, India, what the hell, right? Like, this is like embarrassing. Like, this is the world's largest secular democracy, and it's finding itself on a list with Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. Like, it should wake people up that things like, because people don't trust, people might not trust like um secular activists because they
Mm.
might be biased. So if you have a organization like this with the annual report, some an organization which has a standing for making objective reports like this, that will help put that out there. I mean, it will be a good reference for a lot of people. Like when people talk about India, if you have documents like this out there, it could always be used as a reference, for people to know that we're speaking objectively about these facts. These are not just stories that we just anecdotal evidence that we just biasly highlighting. Yeah. So that's a utility of the report like this. But go on.
Yeah, I mean there's so much to unpack. So here is the report. Wait, let me make this bigger for everyone. Can you see this better now? Okay. So I read the report today, or at least the sections pertaining to India and Iran. And it talks it has the key findings. So it talks about, okay, so we're, they accuse the Indian government of allowing, all this the Hindu, they explicitly say a Hindu nationalist agenda that negatively affects all these religious minorities. And then they give examples. So a big one is the misuse and overuse of the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, or UAPA, in the sedition law, which is notorious for abuse against journalists in particular. Also, the death and detention of Father Stan Swami, which was a huge deal, who was a Jesuit priest who was like a tribal rights activist. And then it also talks about the issues in Kashmir. And then it goes into not only how, do you remember when the missionaries of charity got their right to operate within the country revoked? There was all this drama about all these charities that got their Christian
Oh yeah, yeah,
charities.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so they
Yes,
talk
yes.
about that and how even Oxfam India were not renewed after under that special clause, and then afterwards, the missionaries of charity were, and then also but they also have a large portion of this talking about the issue of the anti-conversion laws, which we talk about a lot on this channel. So the report goes into all these issues that prevent people from um, converting to a different religion if they're Hindu in particular, how they're essentially criminalizing interfaith marriages, and also just how like government officials openly demonize people of other religious minorities. And then so they go into the specific recommendations, and one of them is to use the well, here's my position. Let me back up for a second. My position is that we are not going to sanction India. We mean in the United States, not me and Armin. I have no power to sanction anyone. I don't think the United States is going to sanction India at all. For a number of reasons. One, we need them in our relationship to counter China way too much. We need them way too much. We
Yeah, they're part
already
of the
give,
Quad, right?
yes, exactly. We already give India special treatment in regards to them buying Russian arms. There's like this whole kerfuffle over, I think it's the S-300, where everyone else gets sanctioned outright for having this from the Russians, but India, like, we're digging our heels in and like trying to not go in that direction, even though it's just like blatant hypocrisy. And the fact that India is openly playing both sides in terms of the US and Russia. And we just need them to counter China way too badly. So for example, the report recommends actually using the Quad, which is set up ostensibly to help counter China, as a means to try to affect India's behavior. Yeah, and then they go into a lot of other background, but I think that's the main part that I wanted to get into.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, the Quad is a strategic alliance between Australia, United States, Japan, and India, and it's kind of like a NATO wannabe. I mean, it's not even remotely close to being a NATO, but it could potentially could move in that direction. But just like NATO was initially started um, for resistance against the Soviet Union, the Quad is also somewhat being seen as some much smaller attempt as a union of countries to resist China, which is a good thing. I mean, the CCP at least, right? And I hoping the Quad thing works, right? So we this is why people think, like, people in the live chat sometimes think that we're anti-India. We want India to work. Okay, we want India to prosper because we think India has a potential of being an actual real secular democracy, and it would be a great addition to the forces in the world that stand against tyranny. You know what I mean? If India had better human rights record and freedom of speech and democracy and secularism and all of that and all the values that makes standing up against tyranny um more effective, like makes your country part of the force that stands up against values that bring us back to pre-World War One era, and where human rights and are not respected. So if India could pass that phase, it would be a great addition to these countries that stand up against countries like tyrannies like the CCP. And this is why it's so valuable that India is part of the Quad, right? But so this is why we are rooting for India to prosper and eventually, hopefully, get there. But like, this is very interesting because like in the live chat, the people, somebody saying nothing going to happen to India. Only you people and Indian Muslims will be crying over the mere existence of Hindu. I mean,
I
the
have no
thing.
problem with the existence of Hindus. I love that. What?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know what you're saying. So, like, first of all, you don't understand that we are cheerleaders of India. We want India to. Uh, we want India to prosper. One. Second of all, the fact that you're talking about Indian Muslims as separate from India, like, oh, nothing. You're cheering India against the wishes, like if you think that's against the wishes of Indian Muslims. So that's not good for India. Like, you think you're a supporter of India, but when you otherize a huge section of Indians as Indian Muslims, and you kind of treat them like they're the enemies of India, like that attitude, that's actually what is standing in the way of India becoming, more prosperous and more successful, right? Because you're dividing the country. You're treating your own citizens as if they're the enemy of your country. So it's amazing how so many people think like we're the enemies and they're defending India, and I see it the other way around. I think like you're the enemy of India and we're supporting India. Secular, read this one in response to your what you comment that was funny.
Secular Weird is in hell yeah, Atheist Republic sanctions. Suck it, BJP.
Yeah.
We, the Indian government has blocked all of our websites. They blocked us on Facebook. People have been taking us to court. Delhi High Court has, not been on our team. And we've decided, India taking action against us. We're not having it anymore. We're now fighting back with the Atheist Republic sanctions. I don't know what an Atheist Republic sanction of India would look like.
I'm sure they're scared, Susanna. I'm sure
Yes,
they would be
I shouldn't
very.
say that. We're coming.
The BJP is like, we need the recognition of the Atheist Republic. We're not a real country if we're not recognized by the Atheist Republic.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
anyways,
yeah. So, Forever Stormy is saying the problem with using a supremacist regime like Modi's to counter China is that you'll end up with two insane countries in Asia instead of just one. That's a matter of opinion.
okay, I have more. Okay, so here's the thing. I still think the foundations. Okay, so we have we have problems with the current ruling party in India. Okay, but India is still has stronger foundations and potential for being a legitimate secular democracy than China. Like China,
Oh, is that even a question?
yeah,
What?
like yeah, of course. Yes. So like I mean, it's a different level. Like India could, it's a secular democracy being hijacked by people who don't like secular democracy, but China is like not even remotely close to being a secular democracy. But yeah, go on. It's not
Oh my
democratic.
gosh.
It's
I
not
mean, there was
democratic at all. Yeah, go on.
something else really interesting that happened recently is that Anthony Blinken, U.S. Secretary of State, actually made statements about the human rights abuses in India, which is very rare because of how vital our relationship with India is and how delicate it is, given that India has a very strategic balancing act going on right now where they're playing both sides. So that gives India a lot of leverage for the US to really play nice. And so that's what made this statement really unusual. So Anthony Blinken said, we regularly engage with our Indian partners on these shared values of human rights. And to that end, we are monitoring some recent concerning developments in India, including a rise in human rights abuses by some government, police, and prison officials. When he said at a joint press briefing with the US Secretary of Defense. So, and with India's foreign minister and India's defense minister was there as well. And then he didn't elaborate, but people really took notice of this comment. And then later that week, no, a few days earlier, Ilhan Omar, U.S. Representative Ilhan Omar, who's very controversial, said, quote, what does Modi need to do to India's Muslim population before we will stop considering them a partner in peace? So I thought this was very interesting because it shows that this whole issue is starting to get a lot more attention in kind of the global awareness, when over the past few years I've been really shocked at how there isn't this awareness of what the temperature is like in India right now and how things are really escalating. In fact, there was a US congressman just days ago who was expressing concerns over the issue in Kashmir. Where was the quote? A prominent American congressman has expressed concerns over human rights situation in Kashmir and emphasized the US government must make it clear that it expects better of democracies like India. The remarks by Congressman Andy Levin. Yeah, basically just saying like we need, like, he's kind of putting the issue on notice and on watch, which I thought was very interesting. This is all happening very quickly. A lot of major political figures suddenly starting to comment on this issue. Like, and then this report came out that got a lot of attention in Indian media. I think that I really like that there's starting to be more awareness.
Okay, so
there's a few live chat questions. So yeah. Oxymoron was correcting me that it wasn't the S300 that India bought, it was the S400. So he's saying, so is buying the S400 bad? You want India to buy subpar USA THAAD twice the price? Okay, so basically, I don't actually have much of an opinion on India buying weapons from the US or Russia. I was just trying to communicate what happened.
Wait, are you seriously? Wait, are we seriously going to talk about USA's subpar weapons after what we've seen, how Russian weaponry are able to perform? Hasn't the reports from recent attacks shown that a lot of like more than anticipated number of malfunctioning, like shocking amount of malfunctioning from Russian weaponry when
something like 60% of their precision missiles like aren't even working
like
right.
It's Russian weaponry,
and they don't even have that many precision missiles.
Yeah, I mean, they can produce stuff like the Americans can, and there has been embarrassing, like the performance of Russian military equipment have been so embarrassing in this war, and it has made so many people who actually buy Russian weaponry reconsider. Like even India is like, maybe we shouldn't be buying from these people. Their stuff doesn't work like the Americans do, and a lot of people,
part of it is also just personnel qualifications as well, though, just ineptitude.
Okay. So they can't use their own weapon. Like the Russians can't. No, the personnel don't have enough training to use the weapons that Russia makes itself.
I watched a video about how there's a huge gap in expertise in Russia's military. Like they have a lot of conscripts, so they have a lot of cadets, and then they have a lot of very well qualified generals, but they don't have a lot of sergeants. And there's this middle gap of well qualified and technically capable sergeants because the hazing culture is so bad in the Russian military that people basically self-delete before they can get to that level. That's how bad things are in the culture of the Russian military.
We're saying self-defeat because the actual word for it is something that YouTube is sensitive about. I mean, I'm sure.
There's a lack of capability because of this huge gap.
Yeah, I'm sure Russia produces some really good, weapons. Okay, there's some of them that are probably amazing, but I'm just saying that there's a reason why people pay a higher price for the American ones. Okay, like they're better. I mean, let's be honest, they're better. Okay,
regardless of the quality of the weapons, personally, and this is not something I'm very knowledgeable about or well versed in, so it's not a position I'm married to. But the idea of sanctioning someone just because you bought something from someone that you don't like seems weird to me. That seems weird. Like, so I'm not taking a position on the merits of potentially sanctioning India over buying the S400, because I think that's weird, but it's not something.
Oh yeah,
there might be more there might be more to it, but on its face, I'm like, I don't like that kind of action against a country. That just seems like trying to
No.
establish like dominance and hegemony of your own
Oh yeah, yeah,
military
yeah,
industrial
yeah.
complex.
I
I'm like, no,
completely.
screw that. India should be able to buy from whoever they want to. Like,
Yes, 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 yes. That's completely true. That's completely true. I wasn't commenting on that. You're completely right about that. However, if you let me finish one of my points, maybe Susanna, okay, because you're not letting me finish a single sentence. Um, I don't even know what I was going to say. Oh, yeah, I was saying that Russia is very ineffective at producing anything, because you know a lot of the reports that shows how Russia is really good at at military and weaponry and stuff like that. It's like you have to be skeptical about that because they are actually report American Pentagon reports, which it is within their interest. I mean, I'm not saying that they're wrong, but I'm just saying be skeptical about it, because it is within Pentagon's interest to show the enemy to be strong, right? Because it will justify their funding. Um, but but everything in practice shows that they are not as good as what the reports have been indicating, and what is interesting is that this is to be expected because the way that Russia produces its weaponry is top down command economics, right? So as much as it's not a communist country anymore, but it's still the top down level. Like, how much we criticize the privatization of the military industry in the United States, and how it's become a money making machine, and that's dangerous and stuff. Well, apparently, the money making machine is the reason why America produces better weapons,
because
because
we
they are.
steep competition. And so we get the best expertise.
Exactly, because of the competition element, right? When you have a top-down command economy, when the government is like has so much influence over who produces what weapons, instead of just letting private organizations compete for the bid that the government is making, this is what you get. This is, top-down command economy always produces subpar results. Anyways, let's move on to other start. Let's do this other start question so we could go to
No,
the next
I
one.
just want to do
Uh,
this one starred comment. Oxymoron is saying India said it monitors USA's human rights violations too. Good.
yeah,
Awesome. I love it. Let's
yeah, that's
more,
actually
please. Let's get more light on it. Let's dig into it. Expose me. Expose us all.
no, yeah, actually, that's a good thing. Thank you, thank you for your service, India. Keep doing that. And also, that's pretty badass response. Let's be honest, okay? They're like, we're monitoring your human rights violation. We're like, well, we're monitoring yours.
I don't know. I've like that's the kind of rhetoric I don't think it's necessarily
That's
like
good.
such a badass response because Iran uses the same rhetoric. They're saying that they were considering sanctioning the US because of the death of George Floyd,
Right.
at the hands of a police officer. And there were lefties who were like, "Oh my god, based Iran. They're going to sanction US for George
Okay.
Floyd." And I'm like, "You guys are so cringe. Stop. Please stop. You're
Okay.
falling for the trap."
As cringe as that is, if it works, it will it might have a positive effect. I mean, it's cringe. Everything that the Islamic Republic of Iran does is cringe, right? Oh, D is saying thanks, India. Yeah, thank you, India, for making US better. It's good. It's good. Keep doing that. But even if like Islamic Republic of Iran like does that, it might, and if it works, if it hurts United States to be from a foreign policy perspective, then it might motivate them to do less of to clean up their act. You know what I mean? Like, if you need to, like, oh yeah, they keep pointing at, like, we're trying to point out that they have human rights violations, and they keep pointing back the finger at us. Well, maybe clean up your house, so that you could be better at pointing other people's human rights violation. You know what I mean? Like, it will. I need. I think we need that motivation for American politicians. So that's a good thing. But I just want to highlight the fact that Qasim says hi, Armin, and Durut Susie, because
Azizan, Susie Azizan.
yeah. So
Okay.
It's amazing how he knows that he speaks English to me, but Persian to you. That's very. So Forever Stormy was saying, I don't think India will reach China level of crazy, but it will probably become like Turkey if it continues in this path. That's actually a fair point. That's a fair point. That's a good example. Okay, last one. You read this one while I get the last news. The next news, sorry, not last.
I mean, I don't really have anything to say about this comment. It's just like, okay, Kanye Baba is saying, why so much hate for Modi? He's the best prime minister we ever got. Do your research before demolishing him. Wait, there's this comment by Andrew that I want to address. Andrew is saying, I see that the chair of USRIF, Nadanin Mazena, I don't know how to say that last name, was appointed by Donald Trump and is also the president of Patriot Voices and is closely connected to Patriot Voices founder, Rick Santorum. Well, whatever her political background, all I know is that the head of USRIF used to follow Atheist Republic on Twitter while we were still on Twitter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
She would follow us from her personal account.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Should we clap for the next news?
Yes, this is so funny.
Really? Okay. Next news.
Next news. Florida atheist petitions schools to ban the Bible. Okay. This is this is so great. Okay. In a letter dated April 19th, Chaz Stevens, an artist and Florida's resident political stunt activist, requested that Miami-Dade County Public Schools and Broward County Public Schools ban the Bible. According to PEN America, Florida has the third largest number of banned books, most of which touch on race, sexuality, sexual orientation, and gender identity. In his letter to Jose Dortez, Miami-Dade County Public School Superintendent, Stevens eloquently described that the Bible contains, quote, age inappropriateness, social emotional learning, mentions of bestiality, and RAPE. I can't say the full word because of YouTube. Stevens stated, quote, as is often the case with banned books, I ask your agency to lay flame to that giant stack of fiction in a pyre worthy of a Viking send-off.
Okay.
He also challenged the appropriateness of teaching the Bible's position on slavery, stating that if white students, quote, read such passages, they may wake up to civilization's sordid past, and that this would be too woke for a state so preoccupied for critical race theory. Stevens commented that, quote, the government can't pick and choose religion, but they can choose which books they review for banning and which ones they don't. So, wait, there's so much about this story that is freaking hilarious. Okay, first of all, I found the letter that he wrote to these schools, and we can go over it together. But I want to give a little bit of context. So, for those who don't know, in Florida and in many southern or deeply evangelical states in the United States, there's been a huge culture war going on over banning books and banning books from schools because they are infested with the woke indoctrination of critical race theory. And you're trying to, like, it also has to do with this rhetoric of teaching kids that LGBT people exist is grooming them, and a lot of really hate. I personally, that grooming rhetoric, like, is, I can't explain to you like what it makes me feel. It is so like hateful, and that's not something that I just throw around, right? Anyway, so there's been a huge spree, just a free for all of banning books, anything that mentions that, hey, there's a trans kid. Hey, this person maybe has a crush on a boy and he's a boy. Like anything like that. Or even children's books about like two gay penguins that raised a baby penguin together. Banned. You're grooming children. So that's the greater context. And when Chaz Stevens learned that there was a motion to ban something like 18 math books, arithmetic books from Florida, he was like, this is too much. Like I I have to fight back. And this was his way of fighting back. Let me pull up the letter that he wrote because it is so funny. Okay. So here is the letter. Oops. Okay, here we go. So in it, he talks about, he gives reasons why the Bible should be banned. He gives 7 reasons and gives citations of different biblical verses as his proof. Okay. And so it starts off with, Dear Dr. Dortez, good day to you. I hope these words find you well. As you well know, Governor Ron DeSantis signed House Bill 1467, which requires school districts to give parents a say in the selection of instructional materials, including library books and textbooks. With that in mind, I wish to file such an objection, requesting the Miami-Dade County Public School System immediately remove the Bible from the classroom, the library, and any instructional material. Additionally, I also seek the banishment of any book that references the Bible. And as often the case with banned books, I ask your agency to lay flame to that giant stack of fiction in a pyre worthy of a Viking send-off. And so he talks about age appropriateness. Do we really want to teach our youth about drunken orgies and references Matthew chapter 17, verse 19? Yeah, bestiality, wokeness. This is that's so funny. With the constant...
Go ahead. Read the example for bestiality. The Bible verse.
Taking a cue from Florida statute 847.0016 A, B, and C, one should consider such discussions to be harmful to minors and obscene. Quote, do not have sexual relations with an animal and defile yourself with it. A woman must not present herself to an animal to have sexual relations with it. That is a perversion. Leviticus 18:23.
Yeah, so even though I say don't do it, like the fact that the Bible is talking about a woman exposing herself to an animal for sexual relationship, the fact that that's in the Bible, that makes the Bible not appropriate for children.
Yeah. And then this is one of my favorite. Wokeness, with the constant babbling crossed out, with the constant concerns about teaching critical race theory, should we not take stock of the Bible's position on slavery? I'm concerned that our young white students will read such a passage and wake up to civilization's sordid past. And then social emotional learning, with the most trouble.
That part is like pretending like he's anti-woke, using anti-woke language. But go ahead.
Yeah. With social emotional learning, the most troubling issues for many, it's obvious it's obvious once we teach little Jimmy and Susie to show empathy for their classmates, they're one giant step closer to get their LGBTQ plus freak on.
Like, wow. Hey, YouTube, we're not saying any of this, by the way. So
yeah, this is all satire. Basically saying, but teaching children to have empathy for other LGBT kids is one step closer to just promoting it. And then, in summation, please accept this document as my request to remove the Bible and any referential material from the Miami-Dade County Public Schools. In the end, if Jimmy and Susie are curious about it, can do what everyone else does. Get a room at the Hotel 6 and grab the Gideons. So this is a reference to, if you go into any hotel or motel in the United States, you will find something called the Gideon Bible, which is this biblical tract where they will put New Testaments for free in every single hotel around the freaking country. So he's saying if they're curious, they can go to a hotel and find the Bible there. And my very best to you, and thank you for taking care of our kids. Bishop Chaz Stevens, ordained in Florida, California, Florida, and Jezero County, Mars, First Church of Mars. So he's a bishop of the First Church of Mars. This made me laugh my ass off today.
All right, so first of all, somebody in the live chat is saying, it's funny when Armin talks to YouTube, LOL, it's all automated. Okay, so you don't understand. The strike could be automated, okay? But then when you appeal, if I have a clarification right around the part where the strike is about, then when I'm writing the notes to the human who's reviewing the appeal, they're like, I can say, look, I even clarified that this was satire, right? So that's not for the algorithm where I say that. I put that in there for the appeal process. Okay, so that's how it works. Also, okay, so Forever Stormy is saying, are there Bibles in public school libraries in Florida? Yeah, I mean they have Bibles, right? Do they?
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's likely to be in any library as much as any
yeah.
other book.
Okay, so
Like you can get other religious texts from
but
the Bible
there
too.
shouldn't be
I mean,
like
from
that.
the
It should.
library.
I mean, shouldn't that be? Isn't that already illegal? I mean, I'm thinking it's already illegal in Canada. Isn't that illegal in the U.S. to have like to have Bibles in public schools?
I think it's. I have no idea
I
technically
mean,
or
I guess
legally what
not.
the thing is, but I'm just saying, like, just having it as a material that's available for students to check out of the library should they want to. That doesn't seem like a
Oh,
violation of anything. Versus like
I mean,
having it featured in the classroom and this is what we study and teaching it as this is legitimate and this is authoritative.
oh,
That's
okay,
not allowed, but just having it available as a material
right,
for
right, right,
someone
right.
to
Okay,
voluntarily check out, that doesn't, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
right, you're right. But these other books that are banned for all these reasons, like the ones that you mentioned with the two gay penguins or whatever, when they get banned as an educational material in class, but you can still have it in a library, right? Probably.
This whole book banning thing, there's a lot of variability from state
Oh,
to
okay.
state, school to school, county to county. So sometimes it's like it's not allowed in the school at all. Sometimes it's as a teaching material. Sometimes
Mm,
like they want to shut down the whole freaking library. Like no, not even
mm.
exaggeration. Um,
Right. So I mean, I like I don't understand how could anybody deny that if this standard whatever any book like that, if it's being banned, then the Bible, if you want to be consistent, the Bible should be banned, right? So if you have two male penguins raising an egg together in a children's story or whatever, as a way to educate people about LGBT stuff, and I mean, by the way, two male penguins do sometimes raise an egg together. Like I think that happens actually. I
oh no,
remember
this is
seeing.
observable in nature. Like this is a
Yeah,
real
yeah.
thing. Penguins
Yeah, okay.
be gay.
So that's I mean I'm not sure if they're gay or not. I'm sure I've seen other animals are gay, but sometimes two male penguins, even if they're not gay, they just decide to raise an egg together, right? But I mean that's a cute
I mean, how
way.
wholesome.
That's very cute, like that's a very cute way to introduce children to to different ways of building a family, right? It's a great opportunity to use that as an excuse, right? But if you think that's like grooming and should be banned, okay, anybody who thinks that, there's no way that you cannot with that with that way of thinking, if you want to be consistent, you shouldn't be banning the Bible. I mean, the Bible literally has two daughters uh, having sex with their father without his consent, using alcohol as a way to get him drunk, and
They Me
then
Too their own dad.
yeah, they're me too their own dad, and the Bible doesn't condemn it. The Bible doesn't say that that was a bad thing or any. In fact, the Bible turned their mother into a pillar of salt simply for looking back, right? But the daughters who got their father drunk so that they could get pregnant off of him, that was apparently a-okay because they didn't get any punishment, and that's in the Bible. Um,
Priorities.
so yeah, I know. So like, if that's in the, so you should, anybody who thinks that those penguins children shouldn't be exposed to those penguins, then they should also think that the children shouldn't be exposed to this story at all, which
Mhm.
means that the Bible should be taken away from children. Like how, what would be the logical reason? Like, what would any Christian with that line of reasoning think that the Bible is a book that children should have access to? Like, is there any argument for this that I haven't heard of? Because I haven't heard of anything.
You want to
Have you
say?
heard, like, you're an ex-Christian? Have you ever heard a Christian explaining to you why, like, that is too juicy? Like, stories like this is too, like, two princess kissing is too explicit for children, but the Bible isn't. Have you ever heard an argument for this?
No, a lot of Christians don't even know that that exists. Like a lot of Christians legitimately do not know that there is RAPE in the Bible. Like they don't know that. Like it's like unheard of to them. Um and it's when I've been in faith-based situations, like there aren't really discussions of these passages. It's more passages that talk about and promote one's relationship to God and felt spiritual experience. Um, and not these other stories. But Murtad skeptic, I can't talk. Murtad skeptic is saying, let's not forget he offered up his daughters to be R-worded in order to seem kind to the guest angels who obviously could already defend themselves. Yes, that also happened.
Yeah, and also family values. Bengali Hindu is also making a point here, saying Jesus asked his followers to to reject their family, and hate their family. Yeah, so you, as well. Like, I mean, if this was in any other book, like remember the part of the Bible that says like if you, I no Jesus, the New Testament says that Jesus says I come here to turn a mother against a daughter, a father against their son, blah blah blah, all of that's
Yeah, yeah,
this
yeah.
would be like if this was in any other book, people were like, oh, family values, this is an attack on families, right?
No, I
They
mean that
would.
is exactly the rhetoric used by authoritative destructive cults.
Right, I know, but like how could you think like you're on the side of family values when the book that you value the most is saying specifically that the mission of this book is to turn the families on each other in favor of Jesus. Jesus specifically says that if you love your family more than me, then you're not with me. Anyway.
I've seen some like real loop-de-doo justifications of this where they're like, no, they don't mean it literally. They don't mean it
Oh, of course.
literally.
Of course. Of
Of
course.
course. Of course.
Well, we don't well the okay, well, anything, okay, never mind.
Wait, there are a few
Anything
more
can be excused.
there's a few
Go on.
more juicy segments that I want to read from an interview this guy did. The 57-year-old Florida man says his ire was stoked after Florida lawmakers decided this month to ban 54 math books that were claimed to have incorporated topics such as critical race theory. And then he said, I love the algebras, said Stephen. I love the algebras, says Stephen, who studied applied mathematics in college. And those Tallahassee loons just banned a bunch of arithmetic books. Stevens sent the petitions as a way to point out the hypocrisy, he said. If you want to teach morality and ethics, do you really want to turn to a book that wants you to dash babies against rocks?
Yes, it has that.
And so he actually, there's a final note I want to make. It's wait, where was it? Stephen said he is particularly interested in drawing attention to the hypocrisy. I don't have the votes, he said. My job is merely to turn the hypocrisy on itself and let the bureaucrats eat each other for lunch. So saying he has knowledge, he has proof that the government officials in the schools have received this letter, and there's like, now this has to be dealt with by them in some way. They have to deal with it. And he's actually been a very successful atheist and secular activist in the past. In 2015, he petitioned 11 South Florida municipalities to either drop the prayer that opens their city commission meetings or let him lead a prayer in the name of Satan. After Stephen's request, some Florida cities ended up dropping their moment of prayer altogether. He said, the satanic stare withered them down.
That's pretty good.
And
By the
this
way, we
guy
just got
even erected a Festivus pole in the Capitol building. When the Capitol building was having a Christmas display, he did a Festivus pole from the show Seinfeld, and had an airing of grievances. Which is my favorite. So next to this official, very nice Christmas display, there's a metal pole built out of beer cans that the state has to keep there for secularism.
for secularism. By
The
the way, I
airing of
like
grievances made me laugh so hard.
we just got a donation, and I like how Qassam notifies the emojis that Qassam uses to notify us that we got a donation. Thank you, Qassam, for letting us know.
Bulbul donated
Bobo.
$5. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Bulbul.
Bobo. Thank you. This is guys. This is a good way to remind to because the donations are not like super chats. We don't see it on StreamYard. So this is actually a good way to let us know. Thank you, Qasim. That's a clever way for to make sure that we notice it and we thank
Yeah, I like
the
that.
donors.
Ring the
Uh,
bell.
you ring the bell. Yeah. Also, yeah, secularity is pointing to the part of Bible where it talks about men coming like donkeys.
Yes, yes.
Having emissions like donkeys, right? So again, not appropriate for children. Not at all appropriate for children.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that whole passage is wild. It's about whores.
Yeah.
Whores.
It is describing length of penises and the strength of orgasms. That's part of the Bible. Like, why
But
would
it's all
that
an
be?
allegory. That
Yeah,
passage
but
actually is an allegory. It's
I know it's
talking
an
about two
allegory,
cities
but
as
it's still
whores.
not appropriate for children. It's still not appropriate for children. Like, it's an allegory that children shouldn't be exposed to, obviously. So it's like, I can't. I think you should be honest as a Christian, even if you think the Christian Bible is teaching you good values. You have to be honest. Even from a Christian perspective, it's not appropriate for children. The book itself is not appropriate for children. Maybe I don't agree with this, but as a Christian, you should say like, oh, it has good moral lessons, but maybe after you're an adult, like until yeah, I don't know.
Oh, Babak is
Oh, but
here. Hushtipi man, Dorud. Hale Chitre.
It's okay, okay. All right. Can we clap for the next news?
um, this isn't something we support, but I'm excited to talk about it.
Okay. Next news.
Next news, state enforced starvation. Moroccans arrested for eating during Ramadan. If you scroll down, there's a video we can watch too. On April 27th, the Moroccan police raided a cafe in Casablanca and arrested individuals who were eating and drinking. According to the local news agency, Morocco Latest News, or MLN for short, the individuals were arrested for, quote, breaking the Ramadan fast without a legitimate reason. The police reportedly arrested employees of the cafe as well. In Morocco, breaking a Ramadan fast in public is a crime punishable by up to 6 months in prison under Section 222 of the Penal Code. An online video on Facebook shows the commotion caused when the police escorted more than 10 individuals from the cafe towards a police van. The Forum for Modernity and Democracy, or FMD, an advocacy group, condemned the arrest and called it, quote, a blatant violation of freedom of expression and belief. The Twitter hashtag Stop222 is also gaining traction amongst groups opposed to Section 222 of Morocco's Penal Code. There are numerous campaigns started by ex-Muslims that protest the state-mandated fasting, which are meant to show solidarity with those who are being flogged, beaten, and imprisoned for eating and drinking during Ramadan. Some of these campaigns include Ramadan Not Kareem, Don't Give a Damn for Ramadan, and hashtag Fast Define My Right.
This is insane. And this is in Morocco. Morocco is not supposed to be like I don't know, Iran or Saudi Arabia. Are we going to get to a point where Saudi Arabia is ahead of Morocco when it comes to liberties like this? To like like they're busting a restaurant as if it's like a drug operation. Like, oh, like look at this, we like they sent the police and people are like gathering to arrest a whole bunch of people for eating food, the crime of food eating, the crime of food eating. And they're not even okay. Here's another thing in Islam, like if you're not like if you are a harami and doing haram things and sinning, okay,
Hey,
if
Rami.
you're doing it privately, technically nobody should get involved because it's just like you're sinning again, and God will deal with it later, right? But they were doing, but the crime is supposed to be like, oh, you're eating in public in front of other people who are fasting. That is supposed to be a crime. These people were like eating in a closed door environment. Nobody was being exposed to the fact that they were eating. Like they were eating privately. They were like, weren't they? Like they were,
No, I
weren't they
mean,
eating?
it's in public because it is a restaurant. The restaurant partially had outdoor seating.
Okay.
But I want to talk about how, like, I feel like,
No, but they were being
go ahead.
dragged from inside the restaurant.
Yeah, they were also arresting employees for like allowing this to happen. I think it is so it's patently absurd that the state is involved in enforcing people to not feed themselves. The state is concerned in the business of forcing people to not drink water. That is crazy to me. And Morocco is maybe more intense about this than other countries because there are like stories out of this every Ramadan in Morocco. I see less of them in other places. Armin, in the notes for the show, I showed I added a video from Iran of another issue of someone
This
getting
one?
arrested, I think, for eating.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me know if you have audio.
ببینید این جمهوری اسلامی دو تا
Yes.
لباس شخصی اومدن بنده خدا داشته
Wait,
آب
can you give
می‌خورده،
us translation?
ورزشکاره.
What?
We can hear it, but can you give us translations of
Oh
what
yeah,
they're
yeah,
saying?
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I forgot you don't understand. Okay. Hold on. All right, hold on. I thought because I understand, everybody understands. Hold on.
اسلامی دو تا
Okay, hold on.
ببینید این جمهوری اسلامی
He says, "Look, this is the Islamic Republic." Like in a derogatory way. Like, look, this is what Islamic Republic is.
دو تا لباس شخصی اومدن بنده خدا داشته آب
Libas Shakhsi. Oh, this is Libas Shakhsi are the IRGC enforcement officers who wear casual clothing, so they don't look like the police. They don't look like they don't have
Plain
anything
clothes.
that plain clothes. Yeah, are forces.
They're
right?
basically
Like,
undercover.
yeah, undercover. Yeah, so two of those people have showed up. To undercover officers have showed up to arrest somebody for drinking water.
دو تا لباس شخصی اومدن بنده خدا داشته آب می‌خورده پسر
Like they're saying this poor man was just drinking water and these two undercover officers just showed up.
ورزشکاره جلو پاک بسیج نگاه کن به من می‌زنه.
And he's like, apparently the person who was drinking water was was athletic. Like, well, I mean, he's like exercising or something, so he needs to drink water.
زمین
Or like, look, oh my God, they actually pushed him to the ground. He's on the ground. They're like forcing him onto the ground.
می‌خوان دستبند بزنن به زور
And they're putting handcuffs on him for drinking. Guys, this is for drinking water. They're forcing him on the ground and handcuffing him for drinking water.
ببرنش نهی از منکر خدا لعنتت کنه خامنه‌ای.
He's saying the curse of God be upon you, Khamenei, for basically for making, look, this is what we have to live under. So he's saying the curse of God be upon you, Khamenei.
بدبخت
Like the poor man. Oh my God, this is really aggressive. But guys, like this is Iran. I expect that in Iran. But the fact that Morocco is supposed to be secular. The fact that Morocco is actually like acting like
ببینید
Iran right now.
سگای نظامو ببینید
Like he's saying, oh my God, he's like, do you see this? These are the dogs of the regime. Anyways, so that's something. But yeah, how is this? Like, is this normal for Morocco? For
Yeah,
Morocco
there's
to do
stories like
something?
this that come out of it every year.
This is insane. I really didn't expect this from Morocco. By the way, like Morocco is like the best you could expect from as an Islamic country, right? Like one of the best that you could examples of more secular Islamic countries are often Morocco, Tunisia, Malaysia, and Indonesia, right? So when you
Sometimes people
see
say Lebanon or Jordan.
Lebanon, Oh yeah, maybe Lebanon and Jordan. Lebanon is a yeah. Well, Lebanon is because it's a failed state. There's nobody to enforce anything. I don't know. Uh, I don't know.
Oh man.
I don't know. But no, but yeah, but this is the level of liberty. This is the level of human rights violation that you could expect in the best of Islamic countries. The best of Islamic countries. So imagine the worst. But
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the day for being able, because Saudi Arabia is moving in the other direction to allow things happen. Even though we don't, Saudi Arabia's human rights violations are astronomical, and even though these civil liberties that they are going to give to people is not going to be able to wash away all those human rights violations, but at the same time, it would be um, we would be able to tell at that point to countries like Tunisia, Morocco, Malaysia, and Indonesia that they're behind Saudi Arabia on individual liberties. Like that would be embarrassing, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah. Anyways,
I
this
don't
is
know.
unfortunate.
Something I don't. I feel like when we talk about this issue of Ramadan, like we, it's it boggles my mind. I can't even really articulate it fully how absurd it is to me that the state is involved in this matter. The state is involved of depriving people of food and water. It
Yeah.
I like need more words to it just dumbfounds me. That's insane. What business is it of yours to enforce that upon other people? ABC is saying, imagining you're drinking water and the door knocks. FBI, open the door.
You're arrested for the crime of drinking water. But okay,
Also, not to mention the fact, what a waste of resources. Like there are actual crimes happening.
I know, I know. I do think though Morocco. I don't want to dismiss Morocco completely because Morocco is like has a huge community of secular and atheist activists that are not just going to sit back and take this. You know what I mean? Like that's what we can say. Like I don't want to dismiss the entirety. Like I don't want to generalize, right? So like I know there are secular activism is strong in Morocco, and they themselves are there are many Moroccans who find this absurd, and they're going to push back, and we wish them success, and we
There's a
try to help.
huge push in Morocco to repeal this section of the penal code and also the section of the penal code that criminalizes premarital sex.
Oh, yeah, that's yeah. Good job. Keep
Just
doing that. Keep pushing.
consensual premarital sex criminalized under like penal code 490. I don't know how I know that, but
That's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing that you know that. Actually, another thing I want to point out is that I love the fact that Ramadan, which is supposed to be a time where, you know, for Muslims it means a lot of things, but it's also for non-Muslims it's supposed to be a way to market and show Islam and the beauty of Islam to the outside world. Like, oh, this is our, you have your festives. Ramadan is the most important month of the Islamic calendar, and like how like people know Christianity with its Christmas, and their Jewish holidays, and they're beautiful and they're festive, and people are like, oh look, it's not all
I
like
mean, and in the
hum-
50
it,
million Hindu holidays that they have are the most
y-
beautiful explosions of colors and food you've ever seen, right?
right. So this is like, if like it can be seen as a form of also outside advertisement, that this is what we're about. Look how beautiful our religion is, our customs are. It's a branding of your ideology, right? So when it's Islam's turn and people are like, oh my god, it's Ramadan, like happy Ramadan to Muslims, and it's supposed to be like, oh, let's see what Islam is about, like we're arresting people for drinking water. So
No,
I like
not
how
only
much I like. No, just let me finish this one thought, okay? I like how this this month that is supposed to be used as branding and advertising is actually a constant reminder of how backward Islam is, of how like every month during Ramadan, the thing that gets the most attention about is the Islamic world is like, oh my God, this is crazy. Okay, so this is the best you got, and instead of people celebrating Islam, it's a constant reminder of like, this is this is very uncivilized and very barbaric, and when can we get over this? But yeah, go on. What are you gonna say?
I mean, just like the starving itself. Fasting itself is not bad. It's the not drinking water that's really harmful. But I mean, Ramadan also faces a huge marketing problem because, well, there's also like just especially, I mean, it's better if you're a Sunni, but if you're a Shia, there's just nothing fun there at all. It's all crying, it's all pain. um, but then regardless of whatever sect you are, there's also just the bad marketing of the uptick in violence that happens during Ramadan every single year. Every single year. It's like this is your most holy month, and every like the other communities around you, the Muslim minorities, the religious minorities around you are faced with violence. Like, it's just not a good look.
Somebody's saying there's nothing beautiful about Hindu festivals. Well, I mean,
What?
I like it. I find it beautiful. I don't know what you've been watching.
Have you seen
But
Holy? Like, so much fun.
also, this person on Twitch is like, Susie knows so much now, and she's like holding with an emoji with her holding their head. That's pretty funny. That's like, yes.
I don't know. I can understand why ex-Hindus don't like these things, just how ex-Muslims don't like to hear the azan, or Christians don't like to hear gospel songs. Like, I have a very strong reaction to a lot of Christmas things, like not just commercial Christmas, but like Christmas mass. Like I have a very irrational reaction to it. And so I understand when someone's like, oh, it's not beautiful. But I think from the outside looking in, like there's a lot of things that are very fascinating and beautiful and have very interesting cultural origins that should be celebrated,
Okay, read this one. Read the comment by Storm.
Forever Stormy is saying Christmas is fun. Ramadan is more like Lent. It's not very fun. Okay, Ramadan is Lent on like expert mode. Okay, Lent is for babies in comparison to Ramadan. Lent is like, I am giving up meat, and sometimes only on Fridays. Only on Fridays I give up meat, and I maybe go to mass more often, and I'll give up like chocolate.
Can you give up Lent on Lent?
I have never once in my life successfully completed a Lent fasting from what I said I would fast from.
Oh, great.
I mean, I was a child, but still.
Okay, well, more people I think from India are saying yes, Hindu festivals are disgusting, and then they continue by saying the amount of harassment women have to go through.
Okay, that's not cool, but that's not particular to the Hindu festival. That's probably particular to that location. Like, in the ones that happen in my community, we don't deal with that. San Francisco festivals are
what is this? I would like to know more about this. Like, what kind of abuse do women go through in Hindu festivals?
Well, I'm assuming it's probably very similar to the same sexual harassment and abuse women face when going to Mecca. It's just crime of opportunity.
Oh, here, Bengali Hindu is saying something here.
Yes, Diwali is better. Ex-Hindus think every Hindu festival is Dravidian defeat of the Aryan. That's a little bit more niche for people that don't know about the Dravidians and so forth, but
okay.
Anyways,
yeah. Okay. So how about this? It's visually stimulating. Can I say that the Hindu festivals?
That's true.
Visually, they're stimulating. They look good. Okay. When you look at it, they're like, ooh, pretty. Can I say that? Okay. That's objectively. Well, it's not objective, but it's true. Okay.
Global is explaining, saying some women are molested by bad faith actors during Holi because men come and try to touch them and apply color. That seems like that would happen. But that's not a function of Holi itself. That's just bad people doing bad things. Because like I said, like that doesn't happen where I am to my knowledge.
Okay, so it's kind of like saying that if I look at the mosque that is built around the Kaaba, okay, if I look at the structure and I'm like, okay, that looks pretty, okay, and then like, how dare you say it looks pretty? Do you know that during the Hajj, women are groped all the time? Do you know how many women are abused during the Hajj around the Kaaba, right? I'm like, okay, but that doesn't negate what I just said. Okay, the architecture, it looks pretty. Okay, and what you're saying is true and it's bad, but they don't contradict each other. Katie is here adding a comment.
Oh, hi, Katie. Katie saying Hindu festivals look beautiful to outsiders, but women are harassed. Some of the stories behind the festivals are really horrible. Like people are saying some of them are technically celebrating a genocide. And I hate hearing the Sanskrit chants on loudspeaker. Yes, okay, that would be annoying. Yeah. Again, I think this is a function of when you are in the midst, when you come from something, you get tired of the restraints it puts on your life, but maybe people from the outside can see something that they enjoy about it.
Interesting. Okay.
Like I think I want to go to Esfahan so badly because the mosques are so beautiful. Oh my god, I can't stop talking about Isfahan.
Susanna is now obsessed with Isfahan.
I'm changing my name to Susanna Esfahani.
Yeah, I wish we could go. That would be fun.
I know.
Yeah, I actually have a book right here about Isfahan. Maybe I should have look at this about all the things of Isfahan. I should show this to you. Like it's so pretty. Hold on. Look. Wait, hold on. Like this is what Isfahan looks like.
Like the tiles are just insane.
Yeah, like it's amazing. I could say like Isfahan is beautiful, and people are like, Armin, how dare you? These are Islamic structures. I thought you're against Islam. I'm like, I am against Islam, but these are pretty. Is that not pretty? That's pretty.
And the whole market or that complex of Esfahan where all the shops are.
Oh yeah.
Like, come on.
These are pretty. I don't know. Like, yeah, I mean, Islam is horrible, but also these are pretty. Like, these are not contradictory statements. Okay, so can we clap for the next news?
It's not something we support, but no one died, so.
No one died.
Next news. Atheist adoptive couple in Alabama face discrimination for non-belief. Alana Browning and her husband, an atheist couple, were refused by a private adoption agency in Alabama simply due to their lack of religion. A digital investigative reporter, Lee Hedgepeth at CBS, reported that the Brownings have always been transparent with their lack of religion. The agency is run by Richard and Susan Wyatt. Once the couple disclosed during the interview by the agency that they were not religious, Susan Wyatt responded, "I'm sorry, we cannot work with you." She explained, quote, "We are not specific about one's faith, but the biological families we work with a request that our adoptive families have a spiritual life." Adding, quote, "Most of our mothers come to us asking that the adoptive families have a belief system." All of this is completely legal as the Alabama Child Placing Agency Inclusion Act prohibits the state from discriminating against private child placing services who decline service to anyone on the grounds of conflicting religious beliefs.
Wait, so where is this?
Good old Alabama.
Isn't this not illegal? Isn't this discrimination?
No, it's not, because the state specifically has an act that was recently passed that says that basically the state cannot interfere, or this is one of those ways in which evangelicals twist religious freedom to be, if you're calling us out on discrimination, that is just on the basis of our religion beliefs, that is discrimination. So the Alabama Child Placing Services Inclusion Act basically was created so that adoption agencies can legally discriminate against couples who are same-sex gay couples. Because they say, oh, well, working with gay couples is against our religious beliefs. And if you are saying that we have to work with gay couples because it's discrimination if we do not work with them, then you're actually discriminating against us and you're violating our religious beliefs. So it's a weaponized religious freedom. And this has, because of the language of the law, this is completely legal because this agency is saying we only work the mothers request that they are placed with religious families, and you're not a religious family, and we have the right to decline service to you on the basis of religious beliefs, our religious beliefs.
Okay, so let me just do a Steelman, okay, to defend them, okay. If the mother had requested that the baby goes to an atheist family, would they have granted that wish?
Here's where things get ridiculous. Okay, absolutely ridiculous.
Oh, you got cut. You got cut. You're getting cut. Say that again. Oh, Susie's frozen. It's getting juicy, and Susie got frozen right when it got juicy. It got ridiculous. Susie got hung completely.
Exact quote.
We have her back. Robot Susie. Susie turned into his. Oh, there we go. We're coming back. No, you're roboty.
Okay.
All right.
So basically, can you hear me?
Still roboty. Almost there. Now say something.
Hello?
Yes, you're back. Go on.
Okay. So basically, the reporter explicitly asked them if the mother, the giving up her child, said, I specifically do not want my family to be, I want my child to be in a non-religious family. Would you work with this mother, with this child? Would you place them in a non-religious family? The person who ran this adoption agency said, I don't know. I would have to think about that and talk about that with my husband.
Wait, say that again? I don't understand.
So you were saying, oh, okay, I'm going to steelman this. If a mother said, I want my child to be in a non-religious family, would they do that? When this woman who runs this adoption agency was asked that, she said, if there was a mother who said, I want my child in a non-religious family, would you work with them? Would you place this child in a non-religious home? She said, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. I'll have to talk about that with my husband.
Okay, that's hypocrisy. So so I asked a question that they asked at her as well. That's interesting. Okay, cool. That's a good thing that they ask. So yeah, the hypocrisy has been exposed. This is not about, so that means that it's not about granting the wishes of the parents. That means that you are inserting your own bias there.
Exactly.
Okay. Exactly.
And so the woman who runs this agency said, in the case that we found in 36 years, most of our mothers come to us asking that the adoptive families have a belief system. We've placed children with Jewish families. We did have an Indian family at one point. I don't think we've ever had a Muslim family. Wyatt said that she didn't recall a single case in her nearly 40 years of experience where a mother did not express a preference for a family that believed in some higher power. In 40 years, she's saying there has never once been a case where a birth mother did not express a preference. I don't believe that.
That's nonsense. I think that's completely nonsense. I think maybe it would be true if they push it upon them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's not that they're willing. The mothers are like coming and saying like, yes, I want to make sure that the family is Christian and God-fearing, wholesome family or something like that. Maybe it's like them starting. Maybe it's the adoption agency that is starting the question. You know what I mean? Maybe they are like encouraging the mother to comment on that by saying like, would you like your child to be with a beautiful Christian, God-loving, husband and wife, or would you like heathens to potentially eat your baby? so, so and sacrifice it to the Dark Lord and drink its blood. Which one would you prefer? I think like they're leading the parents to maybe saying, I mean, potentially, right? Yeah.
So
Or
there's a few
Daniel
more
Daniel is
things.
saying she's just Daniel is saying maybe she's just lying. Yeah. I mean, how could you verify this? Maybe she.
I mean, you have to keep a lot of records when you're adopting children, like a
Yeah,
lot
but
of
can you?
records.
Okay, sure.
So basically, in 2017, when this law was passed, Governor Kay Ivey signed a law allowing private adoption agency to turn away adoptive parents for religious reasons, including opposition to same-sex marriage. Susan Wyatt said that she believes Alabama Family Adoptive Services is the only private adoption agency that facilitates adoptions to same-sex couples. Although she believes that other agencies should not face repercussions if they do not choose to work with same-sex couples, saying, "We are a private company. We are not dictated particularly by the law." When asked whether an adoption agency should be able to refuse services to an interracial couple without legal consequences, Wyatt says she wasn't sure about how to answer.
I mean, that's pretty. I think, yeah. I mean, I think that would be smart not to answer that question. But here, read this question. Read this
What do you
comment.
mean? That seems like absurd. Just be like, I don't know how to answer if it's okay to racially discriminate. If there shouldn't be legal consequences for
No,
racially discriminating against me.
because if you because if you say you do, that could be used against you. Because then they're like, oh, she knowingly violated the law. So maybe like it's a good idea not to comment on that without talking to your lawyer.
Yeah, but the lack of comment makes you look freaking bad. Are you kidding me?
True. No,
so
but
you're saying there's a chance? Like,
yeah, okay, true. Okay, read this comment on Facebook.
ooh, Bathinomus is saying maybe there is a box on the application form which forces the mother to choose a religion, but no option for non-religion. That's a possibility. Nothing in this report gets into their actual processes. And what's so sad is that this adoptive couple specifically chose this one adoption agency because they're the only ones that work with same-sex couples. And so they thought that they would have an easier time because of their willingness to work with gay couples. They're seemingly more liberal than everyone else. Even they got rejected. The person who runs this adoption agency said, I don't think there's going to be any other adoption agency in the state that will work with you. You're going to have to find an interstate facilitator of adoption. She explicitly told them, I cannot think of a single facility or agency that will work with you. And now this couple is saying, we're just going to give up. Like they're seriously considering just not adopting because everyone's shut them out. So
wait,
now,
so you're saying they accept gay couples but not atheists?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means we win. Suck it, LGBT people. We win we win the oppression Olympics. Atheists are officially more oppressed than LGBT community in Alabama. Okay, LGBT accepted in Alabama, but not atheists. We win the oppression Olympics.
Okay.
I knew it. I always knew it. We are the most oppressed. We win the victimhood narrative. Okay, so we're at the bottom of the list.
Yeah, I just thought that was so sad. Like, there's this couple that wants to open their home to a child. This is something that a lot of people are not willing to do, and they're being shut out. Not on their willingness to provide a home for people. They've been foster parents for years, so taking care of children on behalf of the state for years. And it's not about their ability to provide a good home, their ability to pay or provide. It's simply because they're not believers. And I should be clear that it's not necessarily that the agency is discriminating against them because they're atheists. It's that we have to place them with what the mothers prefer. And the mothers have always said that, apparently always have said that they have a religious preference. So that's kind of like the wiggle around. And there was this one comment by the lady that runs the adoption agency that made me like kind of mad. She said, quote, "Well, I am the mother of 2 adopted children, and I believe these children are gifts from God. I wouldn't be a mother or a grandmother if it wasn't for two women who carried our children to term and gave them to us as a gift. We're not in charge of where these babies go. God is. And it's the mother's choice. And 99% of those families talk about faith. So it just seems to me, it's like, well, I consider my children gifts from God. And because you don't believe in God, like, you shouldn't have these kids. Something about that comment really bothered me.
No, because I know what it butters what butters you, because they just speak about their religious values because as if it's so apparently true. Like, well, I mean, you know, obviously kids are just gifts from God, so why would these heathens be given adopted children? Like, what? Like, of course. Like the way that sometimes Christians speak about their beliefs as if like they're so obviously wholesome and good, and anything against it must be evil and dark, you know. The way that they congratulate themselves and see themselves and as better and more moral and everybody else beneath them, and talk about it as if this is an accepted reality. And you know, it just makes the otherization of non-Christians, so it just makes it so cringe and disgusting, you know. And the fact that they speak about it in a way that makes it sound like they're good people while they're talking about it, even though their speech is specifically about acting like other people are less than, right? But they're speaking as if they are being moral people saying that. It's just that put next to each other just makes it even more disgusting, you know what I mean? I don't know how else to
What do you
describe
think
it.
about birth mothers having a say in the religious background of the families that their children are going to? I think it's part of me feels like it's absurd. It's like you're giving away this kid, like,
I mean, it should only be allowed. It should be only allowed if everything else is allowed. Like you should be able to say, like, I want the family to be blonde. I want the family to have only one car, not no cars, not two cars, but one car. Like because it's as meaningful as anything else. You know what I mean? Like if you want to allow that, then you should be allowing everything, because it doesn't make any sense to just be, because that would be if you're only doing, if religion is a thing and other criteria are not, then this is religious privilege. Right. All right, can we clap for the next news?
No, unfortunately, this is like actually like the worst news this week.
No, and it's in India. Is it in India?
Yes.
Oh no. All right, next news.
Next news. Ex-Muslim's home set on fire by Hindu thugs for marrying Hindu girl. On April 15th, a mob led by a local right-wing Hindu group set the house of an ex-Muslim gym instructor, Sajid, on fire in a village in Uttar Pradesh, India. Sajid was accused of kidnapping a Hindu girl who turned out to be a 22-year-old woman. On April 11th, Sajid and his girlfriend Rakita eloped and certified their marriage, as well as Sajid's conversion to Hinduism and his name change to Sahil. He even made a newspaper ad that announced his conversion and name change. When the woman's family couldn't find Rakita, they filed a police report claiming that their daughter was missing and kidnapped. On April 13th, police were able to recover the woman, but were unable to locate Sahil, who had fled. NDTV reported that a fringe Hindutva group called Dharam Jangran Samanvai Sangh burned down Sahil's house as well as the adjoined home of his family members, accusing Sahil of love jihad. Later, videos began circulating online of the woman explaining that she consented to the marriage and went with Sahil of her own volition. A probe has been launched to investigate the police's failure to maintain law and order, and some have already faced disciplinary action for negligence. 8 individuals have been arrested in relation to the arson.
Okay, so even when you go out of, so this man apparently is not Hindu enough for them, right? Like if you
this is why I wanted to cover the story. Yes.
Yeah, so he like leaves Islam. He's like, look, I'm a Hindu. I'm even gonna change my goddamn name. Okay, I'm assuming he's doing that for love because he wants to marry this girl. And
Apparently, they've been in a secret relationship for years. Years.
all right, and he's like, for you, I will give up Islam. For you, I will turn my back on Allah for the sake of love. This is actually beautiful, right? But so you leave Islam, you become Hindu, you change your name, and just in case people are not aware of it, you buy an ad in the newspaper telling people that, hey, people, I'm announcing to the world that I be Hindu now. Okay, isn't that what many Hindutva wants? Coming back home, becoming
That's
Hindu.
the thing. Garwapsi. They're supposed to come back home to Hinduism, their true identity as Indians.
Right. So the idea for people who don't know, like so many people in India think like the Muslims in India and in Pakistan are not actual Muslims because they think like they're ethnically and regionally they are the same as, I mean, technically, the ethnic mix of Pakistan and India and Muslims in India are the same thing. I'm not saying they're all the same ethnicity, but it's the same mix, the same bag of ethnicities, same background, same history, same land. And a lot of Hindus are like, oh, this Islam religion has been imposed on us, and we are like, I mean, I don't agree with this, but they think that they're inherently Hindu, and these people have just need to come back home, come back to Hinduism. Well, this man did that. I mean, this man did that. I don't know. Why are you come? But it's interesting because at the same time, there are some people think like once a Muslim, always a Muslim. And you're like, if you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim. Again, YouTube, these are not my views. I'm describing other people's views, that you're Muslim by blood for some reason. And this is just like a trick. Like, oh no, he's a Muslim. Like, this is why a lot of people call, when I'm an ex-Muslim, a lot of Hindus always in the live chat tell me that, like, no, you're a Muslim. Once a Muslim, you have. They tell me that I have a Muslim DNA. So there's no way to get rid of that, right? Which is
Muslim
so
blood. They talk about
yeah.
your Muslim blood.
They talk about my Muslim. They like, you can't be an ex-Muslim. You're a Muslim. It's taqiyya. If you say like you're hiding your true Muslim identity, like it's in, you can't change that. But I guess I'm imagining is that attitude. So this man, even though he's a Hindu, they can't tolerate a Muslim Hindu marriage, and even though it's not a Muslim Hindu marriage, it's a Hindu marriage. They're like, no, you're always a Muslim in our eyes, right? Is that the way of thinking here? Probably.
Essentially, yes. Like,
Yeah.
it's complicated by the fact that they did elope, which is already going to be a highly contentious and possibly life-threatening thing to undertake in India. I mean, it's not unusual for a couple to elope and then the man ends up getting lynched because they think that they kidnapped the woman, when really the relationship was not approved of, so they're trying to escape and go live their freaking lives individually by themselves as consenting adults, but they get accused of kidnapping. There are people in jail for this, you know. And then the police forcibly bring the woman back to her family, and sometimes she gets forcibly remarried to someone of the family's choosing. So that itself is already a very contentious issue. And the fact that there is an inter-community aspect to this makes it even more hot and controversial, right? There
No, read
were
this one. Beboop is saying it's racializing religious identity. That's exactly what it is. Both the people who think once you're a Muslim, you can never leave Islam, and both the people who think like you should be coming back to Hinduism because your ethnicity demands that. Both of that is racializing religious identity. But yeah, go on.
Well, and what you were saying about people thinking, oh, well, all people of the subcontinent were originally Hindus, like come back to being Hindus. Some very extreme Hindu people, actually, I don't even know how extreme this is, but they'll extend that as far as Indonesia. They'll extend that all the way
Oh
to
yeah,
Malaysia.
Malaysia. Yeah. That's going to be the future great Indian empire.
So they actually say that they care about the well-being of Malaysian Muslims, but singularly and only because they used to be Hindus. and one day they will come back to being our Hindu brothers and sisters. One thing that made me sad is the reaction of the girl's family. So, yeah, this girl has stated in a video recording that she willingly married Sahil, and now this is becoming a huge court thing. She has to make a statement before the magistrate in which she'll likely be pressured to, reject this whole thing. And then on Saturday, wait, where was the quote that I was looking for? Damn. Okay, here it is. So this is the statement from her father. My child has been brainwashed. He also admitted his daughter had posted videos of her marriage to Sahil on social media. Quote, we are now waiting for her statement, meaning before the magistrate, to be recorded. If she agrees to come with us, that's fine. But if she doesn't, I'll consider her gone for good. So basically, if you turn your back on Sahil, if you throw him under the bus, that's fine. You can come back to our family. If you don't, if you want to be with this person that you've been in a relationship for years, that you married willingly, we're disowning you, essentially. That's the way I interpreted that.
Okay, so I want to be mad at the family for doing that, but at the same time, this might be a survival statement. A statement that they put out there for there be mobs out there burning houses. Okay, okay. So I don't know if I could blame the family of the girl, because maybe they need, this is like they want to put that out there so that they were like, so that they're on the right side, so that then maybe their house is not burned down. You know what I mean? As bad as that sounds, maybe they need to do that. What do you think?
I don't think that's particularly necessary.
I mean, I know it might not be necessary, but better safe than sorry. I mean, you have I mean, it's dangerous, right? Like, you might be, if you don't do this, even if there's a 2% chance of the mob coming for you, you might want to.
I don't think this is a survival statement. This attitude is reflected in the dozens of stories that I've read that are,
Right.
just another iteration of this case. Just this happening to a different couple in a different state. It's the same attitude over and over again.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Okay, so I just want to point out, first of all, two things. When you said fringe Hindutva, for some reason I heard French Hindutva, and I was like, "Where? What? There's a group of French Hindutvas in India."
Oh, I promise you, there is in France.
Like, okay, that was kind of. I just had this image of some French, really stereotypically looking French people with saffron color costumes.
Okay, wait, that's hilarious. Like, instead of a little red scarf, it's like a little saffron scarf with a cigarette.
Okay. Also, I just want to point out how this is, the love jihad accusation, right? The way it works, right? This is one of the reasons why we keep saying that love jihad is it's a baseless conspiracy theory. For people who are not familiar, many people many Hindus in India think like Muslims have this secret conspiracy to come and capture Hindu women and change the demographics of India by just being so Chad in out competing Hindu men over winning over Hindu women and bringing them to Islam by marrying all these Hindu women, right? And this is why they're hunting down a lot of Muslim men who are marrying or in a relationship with any Hindu woman. We even seen a whole bunch of documentaries on training camps in India of teenagers being trained into identifying whether Hindu women are talking to Muslim men and basically being their own forces, like being their own religious moral police and outside of the authority of the law, just attacking Muslim men in defending Hindu women, like, just because. And we keep pointing out that these relationships are completely consensual and people are in love. Like, they attack weddings, they and they think like they're doing such a good job at protecting their women. There's something about right-leaning people and always trying to frame things in the in protecting women, they always think like they own women, and they're, whether if it's of their religion or ethnicity, they feel like even if they're consensually marrying people or being with people outside of that ethnicity or religion, is as if their property is being stolen away from them, and they need to protect that, right? And they get very emotional about protecting women, and by protecting, they mean stopping them from making consensual decisions. They're not protecting them from harm, but from living based on their own
From
lives, right?
making sure that their possession is not defiled.
Exactly, that's the best way to frame it. But the thing is that they're like, no, these women are being kidnapped, and we were like, this is all happening willingly. They're like, their comeback is that they're being brainwashed. They're always like, these women are being brainwashed. Like, I don't know if you understand like how brainwashing works, but like, they're claiming that all these Muslim men in India are so effective. Like, they just like see all these couples who are with each other in India. These Muslim men are just so effective. Every single one of them is such an effective cult leader that could just make Hindu women believe that they want things that they don't actually really want. Like, and that, and you know better, even though you have no idea about anything about the relationship. Just the mere fact that one of them is a Muslim and one of the Hindu, you know what is best for this woman and what she actually wants, and the fact that she hasn't made these decisions without being brainwashed. That more than the woman knows herself. It's so condescending to women as a whole. Like, the fact that you think that they're so easily just manipulated and made to believe that they want things that they don't actually, it's not actually good for them,
Some of
and
them
you
will
know better
openly
than that.
say that Muslim men are just like they're like, it's not love jihad, it's sex jihad. Like, with the implication being that like all Muslim men are just like these Fengalis. Like, they come and they just cast a spell and you're just like, oh my god, Abdul, taking me away. Like they'll openly
Right.
talk about how they're just like more sensuous. Like, it comes from such a place of deep insecurity. Like, I was joking with one of my friends who's he identifies as like a cultural Muslim in India, and I was like, did you know that you have this sexual prowess? And he's like, no, but I sure know now.
Yeah, I keep telling the Hindu men who are so upset about this, is that if Muslim men are so good at picking up Hindu women, maybe instead of fighting them, you should be taking advice from them. Maybe ask them what their secrets are. All right. And I always tell them, like, I'm always imagining like a whole bunch of like Hindutva people, like, yeah, I tell people this should be a
Yes, this
comedy.
is the sitcom that we need to make.
Yeah, like okay, so the opening scene of this scenario is that you have a lot of Hindutva men with the saffron color, like, these Muslim men are like taking all Hindu women, what do we do? Like, we should go to them, like, and they're so like passionate and go to the house of this Muslim man. And the next scene is that instead of attacking him, they're all sitting down and he's like speaking to them, and they're all taking notes. At first you were made to believe that they wouldn't go attack him, but they went there passionately because they want to know his secrets. And the Muslim man is speaking, and all the Hindu men are like taking notes, and you're like, okay, so we don't ask for Bobs and Vagine. Like, no, you don't ask for Bob and Vagine. Maybe not on the first date. Like, okay, Bobs and Vagines, not on the first date. Okay, so that should somebody make that into a video, please. Okay, it's free. I'll put it out there for free for anybody who wants to make that video. Okay, but we should actually read some comments here.
Katie is saying some are even more extreme. Oh, and extend, meaning Hindufa and their claim over who is Hindu. You know how we're talking about how it goes to Malaysia and so forth. Saying some are even more extreme and extend it to Europe as well, because Zeus is actually Indra.
Okay. Yeah. Oh wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think it's like Indra and Zeus are. Oh yeah, actually, they're not a copy of each other. But I'm not saying Katie knows this.
They're both proto Skyfathers.
Yeah, I think they have same origins from the Indo-European Skyfather origins. But yeah, that's pretty interesting. So they're using that to also claim Europe. Amazing. Okay, this
Proto
is another
Sky
comment.
Daddy. Katie is saying brainwashing is actually a pretty common accusation here from what I've observed. People accuse others they don't like of brainwashing, like LGBT rights groups, women's boyfriends, etc. Funny how the evangelical right wing is kind of doing that with the book banning in the US right now too.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty there's a through line there. I don't know what this is in reference to.
No, it's the idea of women could be so easily brainwashed like that. People who are saying that, it makes women seem so dumb. Like you're asking, like, oh, you don't, like telling Hindu women, like, no, you don't know, you don't love this man. This I know better. Like telling all these women who are making decisions out of their own free will to be with the men who want. If you keep telling them that no, they have been brainwashed, that is just making women seem so dumb. What did you?
This next comment from Nanda is saying Armin supporting love jihad, Takia ex-Muslim, shameless.
Wait, I can't tell if this is a troll or a real
No,
comment.
it's not a troll. Like this person legitimately thinks this way.
Oh yeah. This guy is actually one of those people who actually is serious. You're right. Guys, look at this. This is not a joke. This accusation is not a joke. This is actually what people think. Armin supporting love jihad, Tagia ex-Muslim, shameless. Wait, there was another comment that I had.
Well, I think we should move to the next news.
Okay, sorry. All right.
Armin's like, yes.
What are you gonna do about it?
Armin, what techniques do you use in your personal love jihad? Are you going to reveal your secrets?
Yes. My secret is that they do love jihad on me.
Ooh.
I don't even need to do anything. They come to me.
Guys, there are levels to this love jihad, okay? And we all aspire to be on Armin's level. Like, oof. Nice.
Yeah, here, my secret is being Armin. Exactly. All right. Okay. Can we clap for the next news?
It's not something we support, but we get to dunk on ridiculous Islamic shit. So I'm gonna clap because I'm excited to do that.
Dunking on Islam.
Next news: Egypt bans new Marvel movie due to openly gay character. In a tweet on April 23rd, a chain of movie theaters in Egypt announced they wouldn't be offering Marvel's newest installation of Doctor Strange over the gay character America Chavez featuring in the film. A Muslim-dominated country, Egypt's cultural acceptance of homosexuality is almost non-existent, and homosexuality is effectively criminalized. In an interview with The New Arab, an anonymous source privy to the matter explained that the ban is over a gay character. Quote, the film is banned because of the presence of the openly homosexual character America Chavez, the source said. This led the country to also banning the movie Eternals, an earlier blockbuster Marvel film, for having a scene that features two males kissing. The ban was confirmed by Ahmed Abdel Galil, the head of the Egyptian censorship authority. Saudi Arabia also objected to the film and requested an edit from Disney. Nawaf Al-Sabhan, the general supervisor of cinema classification for Saudi Arabia, said, it's just her talking about her mums because she has two mums. But, quote, being in the Middle East, it's very tough to pass something like this. Al-Sabab and Al-Sabban added. Disney refused the edits, and thus the film will not receive clearance to be shown in Saudi cinemas. So this is a major loss because honestly, Doctor Strange is objectively the best part of the Marvel cinema universe. I don't care about anything else except Doctor Strange. And also it's just, it's just ridiculous. Armin, your thoughts?
I don't see this as a loss. People are going to get this movie. They're going to download it. Like here, Bengali just said, I'm going to download the movie, right? And I think it's a win. I mean, thank you for Disney for not cutting it. I appreciate that. I hope they have. I hope they show the same spine against CCP demands for editing their movies and videos, right? So, but this is good. This is how um, American, uh, s- you know, cultural supremacy is going to spread enlightenment values across the planet, right? Because people want to see American movies. I mean, come on, right? It's like the two top countries with the strongest culture, exporting culture, are United States of America and South Korea, right? So they are. It's so good that the countries that have the produce the culture, produce the movies and music and games and everything that the world wanted really wants to see, and it's in demand internationally, are also countries that have superior values, enlightenment values, right? So given just consuming the culture that is being exported out of these countries is going to help other countries lift to their level, to be more tolerant. I mean, like, do you think like egyptian Egyptians are not going to see this movie? They're going to see this movie. And now they're going to see the version of it that has a gay character in it. They're going to see the uncut version of it. They're not going to see a censored version of it. So this is good exposure. This is a win in I think.
Um yeah. I mean, you're saying like it's kind of this Streisand effect, like the fact that you're banning it will mean that people like will go out of their way to go look for it.
Not even that. It's Marvel.
Mhm.
Do you think Egyptians who are into Marvel are going to skip this one?
No.
They're not going to skip this one. They're going to find a way to see it.
Mhm.
And now in Egypt, this helps in the process of normalization of LGBT, acceptance.
Mhm.
It's not that
Mhm.
hard to get, like, just because something is bad. I mean, anybody can get the movie. Like, it's not that hard.
I mean, it might be more difficult to find it in a version that has Arabic subtitles though. To
No,
find a ripped
okay,
version.
no, okay, no, because subtitles, they're in every movie that comes out, there are like so many different subtitles that people just make for you to go download. Like, just go look Arabic subtitles. I don't know, any Marvel movie. Okay, not there's not one. There's like a gazillion different versions of it. Like, you could find ones that has the M's and the ums, or explains the sounds in the backgrounds, or the ones that don't explain that. Like, people contribute. This is, you don't even need Marvel or anybody to contribute that. People, this is like open source. Like, people contribute to that anyways, because because there's a demand, people make the subtitles. Yeah, yeah. Katie's saying what?
Stormy is saying Susanna is a piracy version.
Exactly. That's why you don't. Now, people, I think a lot of people in the live chat were like, "Why do you say?" Look, no, this is you can get the subtitles. Don't worry. you know.
I don't really be watching movies like that. Like, when I
Also,
do, I
because
watch them with you, and you find them.
yeah, and also Susanna doesn't know or how to find subtitles, because she doesn't need subtitles, because most good movies are made in the language that she speaks. So,
I actually prefer
and
to have a movie with subtitles on, even though I speak English. I'll put
oh
on
yeah,
English subtitles.
especially in the Batman movie that we were watching with each other recently, because Batman speaks like half of the time we're like, what the hell did he just say? did he, I'm gonna go get a pizza. like,
Like,
I don't
what
like,
did you
yeah,
say?
we need, this is in English and we need subtitles.
But how
Yeah.
long? I don't know. I saw a lot of reactions to this online, and there were some people who are like, you know what, on second thought, like, it is good that they banned this movie because this is against our like Arab culture. What do you think about that? I think that's absurd.
No, it's not absurd. It is against Arab culture because it's better. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is. I mean, it's a superior culture, and it will win over inferior cultures. And yeah, it is against it, and I hope it dominates over it.
Yeah, I guess I see cultures as more expansive. So I yeah, currently yes. But I very much think that, like, oh, like Arab culture can expand to be accepting of these things. Like, I don't see that as antithetical.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's just a different way of saying what I just said. So it will
Yeah,
crush it,
you're right.
and out of the ashes, something better will come out of it. So yeah, sure, I agree with that. But again, another thing, Doctor Strange is the best of all the Marvel characters, right?
Yes.
And this movie is going to be the best of Doctor Strange. Like, this is going to be, I think, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong about it, but this is going to be epic. Okay, I mean, the scenery itself, the visuals is glorious. Even if you're not into the story, like some of them don't have good stories, but I just enjoy the visuals. They just visually so stimulating. Especially Doctor Strange ones, they're so stimulating.
In any Marvel movie, like, it only gets good for me when Doctor Strange shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the guy who runs is his name Wong? I'm like, can't everyone else leave? Like, Wong stay longer. Like,
Oh, the other wizard. Yeah, that's pretty
yeah.
cool. Yeah. Anyways, don't miss this movie, Egypt. Make sure you get it.
It comes out next week. Can we watch it together?
Yes. Let's watch it together.
Okay.
Okay. By the way, when I say superior to Arab culture, if anybody thinks that's racist, it's because you're racializing the culture. Okay, I think the Arab people are capable of better culture than a culture that is anti-LGBT. So I'm actually not being racist.
I would agree.
You're being racist that you think that this is the only thing they're capable of. You're racializing their culture. Okay.
And also, I mean, people might just be sensitive about that coming from a Persian. But this gives me an opportunity to actually openly congratulate and thank Armin for going toe to toe with anti-Arab racists on the Persian side of Atheist Republic like never before. Guys, you have no idea the level of heat that Armin has been getting over in the Persian branch of Atheist Republic for being extremely firm in opposing anti-Arab racism. Like, it's been getting heated and hot over there, and Armin is like standing like, come at me, give me your best shot. Like, when everyone's like, explain yourself, Armin. Like, it's been intense, but our anti-racist king over here.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, this is some next level stuff. You know how a lot of you, because you're from India, you know what happened, the people who came after us because of Sexy Cali and stuff, like all that drama that happened. Okay, so something like that is happening in Persian right now, and that a lot of you are not seeing, because I'm doing something on the Persian channel, which I'm touching upon something that is very sensitive in Iran, which is, I'm exposing how common anti-Arab racism is in Iran, and this is like, I hit a nerve basically right now, and a lot of people are coming for me, and a lot of people are promising to end me. Like, I'm like, I mean, as I had India, like I dealt with this. Like, this is not. So I think, like, I just want to thank the Hindutva for training me to be more resilient against crowds coming at me, because now the same thing is happening in Iran. Anyways, thank you, Blank Dancing. Good job, Armin. Yeah. Because here's another interesting thing, is that it's very similar to what happened in India, right? Because in India, we make anti-Islam content, and a lot of Hindutva people were like celebrating that, and then we noticed, like, we're attacking some people's sacred beliefs, and the people who are supporting us, they have their own sacred stuff that were like, okay, we're creating a crowd of people that have their own dogmatic views, so we don't want to be biased. So we looked at our following and we're like, okay, let's poke at your dogma. And then they did, and that caused a backlash because they were following us, right? So in Iran as well, a lot of people who are against Islam, that anti-Islam view has turned into being anti-Arab. So we also noticed that by being anti-Islam in Persian, we're creating we have a following of a lot of people who are clapping while we're anti-Islam, but they also have a whole bunch of views that we don't endorse. So we looked at their sacred cows, and we realized that their sacred cows is um, Aryan supremacy, and I don't know, Fars Persian supremacy, and anti-Arab, racism. So we were like, okay, let's go over this again. let's look at our, so again, it's easy to build a cult if you just look at your crowd and feed them what they want. And it's easy to grow like that. And this is why we don't grow, because we do the exact opposite. We look at our crowd, and instead of feeding them what they want, we attacked everything that they hold dear. And this is how we lose followers. All right.
I think you've been doing a good job, and I wanted to tell you on the English side of things so people know what you're doing over there. And it's also been very hilarious. What did you say? Because part of this, for those who know, the controversy is around renaming the Persian Gulf to the Arab Gulf. It would just set people's brains on fire. And what did you say to Babak last night? You're like, I'm gonna call it Al Khalij Al Arabi just to piss him off, as Arab.
Yeah, true.
Saying it as the most Arab that he can make it.
Later today, I have an interview with an Iranian Arab, just because he's going to talk to me about how he feels as an Iranian Arab in a country where there's so much anti-Arab racism. Okay, Blank Name is saying, accept neoliberal dogma. Okay, are we... I'm open to know if we are being dogmatic about our liberal views. I mean, if you could define what you mean by neoliberal, I'm happy to visit if we're being dogmatic about anything that we're endorsing. But yeah, I'm open to challenging anything that you think is neoliberal dogma.
Well, it's funny because people use neoliberal as a pejorative, right? Yeah. And we had a discussion recently, actually, about neoliberalism versus liberalism, and you did come to the conclusion. You're like, "Oh no, I am a neoliberal."
Yeah. So here's the thing. I think to be dogmatic about it is that you would not welcome it being challenged, right? So I endorse many things. Endorsing something does not mean that you're dogmatic about it. Dogmatic means that you don't welcome it being challenged. But I welcome it being challenged. I love my ideas to be challenged. I'm pretty sure I'm dogmatic about something. I just don't know what it is yet, but I hope I figure it out. Anyways, we should clap.
Neoliberal capitalist shill!
Forever Stormy is like, this channel is not neoliberal. I don't know what... Okay, it depends on the people's definition of neoliberal. Anyways, let's clap for the next news. Can we clap?
Yeah.
Okay. Next news.
French court rejects government order to forcibly close mosque. On April 26th, France's highest administrative court dismissed the Interior Ministry's appeal to continue closing down a mosque accused of radicalization. The Interior Ministry has been shutting down mosques all over France, with the closures coming in the wake of the anti-separatism law that was enacted last year, which was designed to, quote, bolster France's secular system. On March 14th, France's Interior Ministry ordered the 6-month closure of a mosque in the city of Pessac, accusing the mosque of promoting radical Islamist ideology, inciting hatred, and justifying terrorism. I'm using the word because of YouTube. According to Reuters, this is the first instance where a court has declined to uphold a government decision based on documents prepared by the French intelligence services. This is a tough name. Fionnuala ni Aulain, the UN's special rapporteur on protecting human rights while countering terrorism, compared the French government's actions as, quote-unquote, Kafkaesque. Quote, the flirtation with secretive evidence is worrying, but also breaches the provisions of international treaties, Aulin added. So I wanted to cover this because we have been following this ever since 2020, this push in France to counter quote unquote Islamic separatism in French society and to really solidify and insulate um, France's secular institutions. And this came with a lot of government action, and there was a lot of controversies around these government actions. Like, is this too authoritarian? Is this actually stripping away rights from French Muslims? Is this violating France's own values of liberty? And are they betraying their kind of heritage as the birthplace of enlightenment through these actions? And so that's why I think it's very important to follow up on these stories. So this was something that I thought was very interesting. I thought this was a great demonstration of the power of due process, and I congratulate France for doing very well in going through with their procedures of due process, which is one of these very important values that we wanted to make sure that France lives up to.
This is very tragic because I wanted to have something I could criticize France about, so we don't seem like we're dogmatically supporting France, and we want to maybe so them just going out and closing mosques left and right. I wanted to be like, okay, this seems like a little bit authoritarian. I mean, not a little bit, maybe a little bit too much, but I mean, okay, but now France has proven to be such a a country where the rule of law, reigns supreme, and the Enlightenment values are not to be messed up with, even if people are afraid, so are not to be challenged like that. So it's holding its ground. Like France's liberal values are standing strong. The court is like, you don't get to do this, telling the government that's it's so impressive. Like this is so impressive. But again, it's very tragic because now I don't know what to criticize. This is being done like so. France is France is like used as a symbol of how secularism is done right, and we wanted to use France as a role model for other countries to follow. To be like, this is what real secularism looks like. I mean, it's so secular they don't even call it secularism. They're like, we're like at a different level. We can lazy. What is it called? What do they call it? Like, you guys are below us. You guys are secular. We're like,
we have laicite.
We have laicite.
Oh my god, that's so true.
Right.
There's levels to this.
Yes. But then it was hard to defend France's secularism where they were when the government was now involved in shutting down mosques, and we wanted to be charitable because like maybe it's about something that we don't know. Maybe they have evidence of something that is actually, because it looked really bad. Like on the face of it, it looked like the government is getting involved in religion, right? They're like, this is not secularism. This is actually violating secularism. This is government deciding how religion can be practiced and what people get to teach in their mosques. I mean, we're against what people are teaching in their mosques, but I don't think like it's against freedom of thought for a government to come just shut down mosques because they don't like what they're being teaching there. So I think like this is a violation of secularist values, and it's really sad to lose France.
Well,
yeah, go on.
I should be clear that this is just one instance of the church ban, the mosque ban being overturned. There have been many instances of mosque bans going forward and being executed.
Yeah, that's not
so. This is just the latest, and this is the first one where the intelligence agencies provided special evidence, right, like secretive evidence, and the court still overturned it. So that was very significant. This is like a first.
So how is that? Okay. So I'm trying to.
I have the accusations against the mosque too, specifically, which are very concerning.
Okay, well, let me know after I ask this, okay? Because I want to be charitable to France, okay? So if this was overturned, even when they showed that information, does that mean that all the other mosques that were closed, they had really good reasons for closing them? That because if it's this difficult to close a mosque and the court can stand in your way, even when you have information like that to provide to the court, that means those other mosques that were successfully closed down, they must have had really good reasons to close them down, or else those would be stopped as well. Am I missing something here?
Maybe.
Hmm.
I can't really say one way or the other. I mean, it could be that. It could also be there's a different judge that is much more sympathetic towards the government or actively has a bias against the mosque. Maybe it's just who happens to be dealing with the case.
I hope I hope it's more. I hope it's not that. I hope there's a proper structure to all of this, rather than people
I
just.
mean, we can have a very good judicial system, and the best judicial system will still have bias in it. That's just a fact. So, who knows? But what I thought was interesting is this is one thing that I thought was kind of concerning. Here's from Reuters. Among the initial accusations against the Pesach Mosque was the sharing of pro-Palestinian views on social media, which the government said were anti-Semitic or messages of support to personalities and promoting quote-unquote radical Islam. And this is kind of concerning because France recently banned 2 pro-Palestinian groups.
Pro-Palestinian or pro-Hamas? Or pro-Hezbollah?
Here's the thing. I can't find these things because I don't speak French. I can't do my own investigation and research into it as well as I could normally. Like,
you can't be pro-Palestinian in France? I think
Reuters just says pro-Palestinian.
What the hell?
And the Interior Ministry is like anti-Semitism. Maybe it actually was because a lot of pro-Palestinian stuff.
Wait, you're anti-Semitic? If you say "yeah, woo, Palestine," that automatically makes you anti-Semitic?
I don't know how bad the content itself was. Okay. Of course, not is it automatically? It's hard to tell, especially because, like I said, a few months ago, we covered about how pro-Palestinian groups were banned for having connections or being basically a mouthpiece for Hamas. It was the accusation. And they contend, Hamas... no, we never did that. We just opposed the apartheid state of Israel,
I'm amazed, like something like this, there's not enough English coverage on this. Like, what is there more detail on what the okay? So this needs to be more transparent, okay, for the whole world. Like this can't be like, oh, we have French sources on this. Well, I mean, France's secularism is important to us English speaking people. Okay, we use your country as a role model. Can somebody tell us what the hell is happening? Like, we want to know if these closing of these mosques were legitimate or not. Like, this is like, we need to know. Like, this is bull crap.
Well, I mean, okay, so that was the original accusation against them. In either way, they went through an appeals process, and the highest court, the highest administrative court that dealt with these appeals, said, no, we're overturning this. We're not going to let the government shut down this mosque. Now, when it comes to shutting down these mosques, like, it's not a full closure. It's they're closed for 6 months, essentially. It's like a 6-month ban. It's not permanent, to my knowledge.
Yeah, still the government is getting this is thought policing. Okay, could be. I mean, I don't know. Okay, we don't know the details of the reasons behind this, but it just smells and sounds and looks like thought policing, and that's not cool.
Armin, is there any condition in which you would support the 6-month closure of a mosque?
Yes, if it's proven to be, if they have access to information that shows that this has been grounds for radical recruiting for radical action. You know what I mean? A recruiting ground, like you have like a sting operation, you have like undercover cops, and you have recordings, and this has been ground zero for special operations, and this is the place you do it, right? And you're not going to shut it down completely. You're just going to shut it down temporarily to reorganize the mosque and make sure that it's not being used for that. Like, make sure that people are in charge, or don't let that happen, right? But that this, if that happened, if you have evidence for that, okay, I'm not talking about like, oh, we're teaching the Quran, oh, and the Quran itself is, or like we're reading passage of the Quran, that are more violent or stuff like that. No, like actively recruiting people for radical actions, right? Like something, if you have evidence for that, then you could, yeah, shut it down in that case, okay? Because that's not thought policing, that's just just stopping a crime from happening, stopping eventually a crime from happening, right? So, but if they have evidence, I do think, like, so here's the difficulty, right? So we want like, okay, well, we need transparency, you need to tell us this, right? But they could come back and be like, well, if we show you how we obtain this evidence, it's going to make it difficult for us to continue these operations, because we are like showing our hand to the people who, on how we gather this information, and we have people on the ground that we need to protect, and this will out them, right? So they might, so the intelligence officers or whoever's in charge, or the police might say, like, we can't be transparent about this because we need to protect our people, and we also need to not show our hand, so that we can continue to do so. But then from our end, like, well, sounds like a very good excuse for violating
The rights of Muslims, yeah.
human rights, and because you have a really good excuse not to be transparent about it, there's going to be no accountability to see whether or not you're actually violating any human rights or not, right?
Which is basically what happened in the US.
Exactly. But again, how do you solve this, right? Both sides have a point. Government, for intelligence gathering, cannot be always transparent. It needs to be, some things need to remain secret, so that the government can continue its intelligence of operations, whether at the police level or higher levels. But at the other side, for avoiding human rights violations, we need transparency. So, but how do you figure out where the line is? It's very difficult, right? We do need to read some comments.
Forever Stormy is saying, I am all for shutting down imams or followers, but not the mosque itself. Maybe get new sensible imams. My understanding is that like the 6-month shutdown is kind of to allow for the community to make changes to do that. I don't know if that's technically correct. That's what I understand. And she's also saying they should simply use current laws to go after those who preach violence instead of shutting down entire mosques. I wonder,
Right.
Yeah, I wonder about that. PK is saying, what's the point of banning mosques? Isn't it like the building? It isn't like the building is propagating hate. No.
It's a bad.
It's not about the physical structure.
It's a naughty building. It's a naughty.
I'm gonna spank that building. I don't know how to say this name, so I'm going to say Shekabe. This anti-Semitic debate is actually so frustrating. Everything seems anti-Semitic these days. I don't think
some
that's
things
really
are legitimate, like, not, yeah, but some things are legitimately anti-Semitic.
We are seeing a recent contemporary rise in anti-Semitism, like legitimately.
Yeah. So yeah, the both. Okay, so it's true that a lot of people overuse that accusation, but it's also true that it's the most common form of bigotry. So, like, yeah. So both of these are true at the same time.
Blankename is saying even being anti-Semitic is not necessarily the same as being radicalized. They could just be bigots. Yes, in France, they are very sensitive about anti-Semitism. Like there's lots of specific laws about it, but also it's a very anti-Semitic country. So there's a very weird contention there, but it's a very particularly like delicate issue that from the outside seems like it's held in like a very special way. And also it's very hard for us to determine, what was really the nature of what was said when we don't really have a lot of good sources on it in English. And Jinping's dad is giving the classic corny ass retort, which is Arabs are Semitic. Oh
yes,
my God.
we know.
We freaking know, dude. We all know what we're talking about. Ugh.
Okay, guys. Arabs and Jewish people and Aramaic and other groups of people, yes, they're all Semitic, but when we say anti-Semitic, even though Semitic refers to Arabs themselves, it is anti-Semitic is commonly used in a way that means anti-Jewish hatred, right? So you could be pedantic about it and be like, well, no, anti-Semitic should also mean anti-Arab, but that's what people generally mean when they're saying anti-Semitic. Okay, but maybe he was just mentioning it. I don't know if he was complaining about it. All right, this next news looks very interesting. It's very colorful. What is this? That's very
Yes. This is very
yeah.
good.
Can we?
news.
It seems like it's clappable.
Yes. And I also included a picture that you can show in the show notes.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. It's amazing. Okay, can I clap?
Yes.
Yes. Next news.
Next news. India's first openly gay prince fights to ban conversion therapy. India's first openly gay prince has vowed to fight conversion therapy. After surviving the horrors of conversion therapy, Prince Mavendra Singh Gohil said he would work on making conversion therapy illegal in India. Gohil announced through a local newspaper that he was gay in 2006. Speaking recently to Insider, Gohil recounted the events that led to and followed his coming out more than a decade ago. His effigies were burnt and protests erupted. Quote, people took the streets and shouted slogans saying that I brought shame and humiliation to the royal family and the culture of India, he said. His parents disowned him and went so far as to publish newspaper advertisements announcing his status as heir was revoked due to, quote, activities unsuitable to society. Today, Gohil leads the fight for India's liberation against conversion therapy. He is also leading the battle against, quote, decades of regressive mentality, ignorance, and judgment. After homosexuality was decriminalized in India in 2018, Gohil opened his 15-acre palace grounds and created a center that offers assistance and refuge to members of the LGBTQ community.
This is so based.
I love this
Based
guy.
based news from India. This is amazing. Look at this. This cannot be any more wholesome. Wait, I
He
didn't even
turned
know.
his palace into a shelter for LGBT people.
Oh my god, that is so beautiful. Oh my god. Wait, that I don't even know what to say. This is just so wholesome.
Yeah, no,
See,
this is a
we have good news from India. See, guys, like people think like we have always bad news from India. This is such a wholesome news from India. That's so
yeah.
beautiful.
Like he has a really interesting story. He's almost 60 years old now. And he talked about how he knew that he was gay when he was 12, but when he didn't come out until he was like 41 years old. He previously had a marriage to a woman that was like completely failed, like they never even consummated the marriage. And he said that, when I got married, I thought that things would go like quote unquote to normal and then I could just like live my life, but things didn't go back to normal. And I realized instead of there just being one miserable person, now I am making two people miserable, myself and this woman who I married. And when he did eventually come out, he was forced to go through conversion therapies. His family almost tried to get him to like get a lobotomy. Basically, he had to go through like electric shock therapy, lots of, ritual purifications and all sorts of stuff. And in this interview, he had this really interesting passage where he talked about how he lived in such a tight society, like a tight culture. He's like, the people in the villages near my area, they literally like worship the royal family. Like I lived in a highly controlled environment where I'm not even allowed around people who are lower caste than me. And it wasn't until in the early 2000s he started to speak to people and journalists who allowed him to see a more liberal worldview and to accept himself. And when he came out, like I said, there were people burning effigies of him. He got tons of death threats saying, he's a disgrace and all this stuff. And so he's getting, just real derision at home. But then he goes abroad and he's on the Oprah show and people are, celebrating him. And, he has a just really interesting story talking about like that contention and experiencing it, and how just because homosexuality was decriminalized in India, like he emphasizes that the fight isn't over. Like we still need to fight for gay marriage, we need to fight for equal rights, we need to fight for inheritance rights. And he said that primary amongst his goals is obviously to ban this practice that caused him personally so much harm in his life. Yeah, so I just thought this was like really good news that I wanted to share.
Okay, before I show the picture, because the picture is very based, the one that you found, but a couple of people have the same question that I had. So Puya saying, I didn't even know India had a king, and Kiko is saying, I didn't know India has monarchy. Like, yeah, how is he a prince? Who's the king? Are there
Okay,
more?
so there is no singular king of India, because India before the British was all of these little kingdoms that the British then united as a continent. So like in a way, the British are responsible for the Indian as a nation state that we see today. And then it was only, I mean, when the British left, it was very fragile in maintaining India as a nation state. We almost had all these little breakaway kingdoms again. So he is from a royal family in Gujarat. I don't know if I said it right this time.
You said it better than before, yeah.
I'll take it. Then the government used to have a relationship in some capacity. Like they, I think maybe got like a stipend or some sort of tax breaks or something. I don't know. But around the 70s is when the government's legal relationship with all these royal families changed, and they lost a lot of their privileges in the same way. But he's still from a royal family,
Right?
even though it's not recognized in the same way that he used to be.
Okay, read this comment before I get the picture.
Katie is saying the only issue is that his palace is in Gujarat. If only it wasn't in a BJP stronghold. Well, in a way, that's kind of the perfect place for it. That's probably where a lot of people need it the most.
Yeah. I think like, yeah, that's exactly right. You need it at the heart of where you have the most amount of problems. So yeah. Also, I'd be saying it's basically a princely states. So that's,
Yeah.
I think, how it works. Okay. All right. So let me get the picture that you sent me. This is pretty base. Look at that. Ooh, look at that.
Yes.
So epic.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Look at him. Go ahead.
I love this photo so much. When I was doing research today, I found this photo and I wanted to show everyone. And I actually had an emotional reaction when I looked at this photo. I don't know how to explain it. Like, this is one of the most, there's so many little things about this photo that I find beautiful and quite significant. Like, you see this man and he's standing in clearly like the Indian countryside, and he's holding a flag, and it's an LGBT flag, but the flagpole is a tree branch. And you see, he has, I think it's like a woman's shawl around his shoulders. He has more feminine pearls around his neck, but then still the fine regalia of a prince. And I was just thinking, like, look at the dignity of this man. Like, it made me think about how in Uttar Pradesh recently we were talking about how the court rejected recognizing a lesbian couple's marriage because it's against Hindu culture and it's against Indian culture. And I felt like this image was such a contrast from that. Look at this man that clearly has such dignity in who he is, in both his sexuality and embracing feminine aspects of himself. And also, you can just tell just by looking at him and all these other images of him over the years that I was examining, like how much pride he takes in being a representative of his culture, how rich his understanding and practice of his cultural heritage is. And for someone to say like you are less Indian because of that, you are less Hindu because of that, is it's crazy to me. I don't understand it. And to look at the pride and dignity with this man, with this man holds himself, despite the things that people would say about him, the way he was disowned, the way he was denigrated. You know, it's so beautiful. Like, to me, I love this image. This is the image of like LGBT royalty, like literally. uh yeah, I just think it's stunning.
That was so beautifully said. That was so, yeah. I, that's so, that, thank you for that, Susie.
Oh,
So let's read this by Katie while
Katie
I
is
figure
saying,
out how to.
so meaning what she was saying earlier about the area that it's in, his palace is in. No, what I mean is that many queer people who might need shelter might not feel safe enough to go to a BJP dominated state. Like myself, I would prefer to be in an anti-BJP state. Yeah, no, I understand that. Getting there, if you're not already in the area, or even if you are in the area, you might be compelled to want to leave. But for many people, I hope it's a great resource. And Forever Stormy is saying he's 60 years old. He's like the Tom Cruise of India. That guy doesn't age. Technically, I think he's like 58.
Wait, is he actually almost 60? He looked like
Yeah,
he's
he's almost
30.
60.
Wait a second, that doesn't make any sense. What is, how? Hold on, one more second. That makes no sense. This man is almost 60?
Okay, I think that photo was taken a few years ago, but even if you look at recent photos, it's like, how? How, King?
He looks like he just almost stopped being a teenager. Seriously? Okay. Sure. Whatever.
He recently got married too. He got married in 2013 to his husband.
Wait, I thought gay marriage was not a thing yet. How did
He
he get
got
married?
married. Well, his husband is an American, so presumably he got it recognized over here.
Okay, cool.
Randomly, his husband used to be a cosmetics clerk at a Macy's in Seattle.
That's why he
I'm
looks
like,
so young.
how did you meet? What?
No, wait. Now I understand why he looks so young. It makes sense now. Okay.
How does a prince meet someone working the counter at a Macy's? I don't understand.
Okay. All right, can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Next news.
Hindus and Muslims march for interreligious peace in New Delhi. In a welcome display of communal harmony, on April 24th, Muslims and Hindus joined hands for a Tiranga Yatra, a parade featuring the tricolor flag of India in Dahangipuri, northwest in Delhi. Hindus and Muslims, in a collective desire for peace, waved the national flag, the design of which symbolizes courage and growth, as well as unity between Muslims and Hindus. 100 attendees, with approximately 50 Hindus and 50 Muslims, attended the parade. Celebratory flower petals were thrown on the paraders from the apartment buildings above. Police deployed hundreds of personnel to keep the event secure. Attendees were chanting "Victory to Mother India" or "Glory to Mother India" and slogans about the brotherhood between religious communities during the event. The parade for unity followed violence that broke out during the celebration of Hanuman Jayanti on April 16th. Crowds of Hindus and Muslims were seen throwing stones at each other, and at least 23 individuals were arrested. According to India Today, the parade was conducted in the C block area of Jahangirpuri, the same area where the previous violence started.
So they went to the place where Muslims and Hindus were throwing stones at each other, but now they're like trying to show that that's not the entirety of India, and they're like throwing flowers at each other instead and trying to bring harmony between Hindus and Muslims, right? In the same place, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, we had all this like violence in this neighborhood, and now we're having a parade in this neighborhood to show our togetherness.
Yeah.
If you click on that
so good.
Instagram post, there's a lot of really good footage.
Okay, does it have music? Should I mute it?
No. At first, there's like a news lady explaining it a little bit, and then the videos.
Just days after communal violence broke out in northwest Delhi of Jahangirpuri, now there's a Tiranga Yatra with the national flag being carried out for brotherhood. This was Tiranga Yatra as a call for peace just days after that violence broke out. This was primarily being participated in by members of both the Hindu and the Muslim community, even exchanging hugs at the Yatra. And clearly it is a bid, as it appears, to bridge the communal divide in the national capital. So citizens coming together, as we can see, senior police officials as well there at the location, and the national flag, the tricolor, the Tiranga being hoisted by multiple people and being carried in that yatra, and where both communities are appealing for peace. Remember, just about 2 days ago, there was also a press conference that was conducted in the evening by the Hindus and the Muslims to ensure that communal harmony continues and peace prevails in this area. Let's take a look at some of these visuals coming in from Jahangirpuri. All right, so what you're looking at, the by-lanes of the Jahangirpuri area, remember it was specifically the C block area where the violence had reportedly broken out. There was stone pelting, there was swords being brandished, but now smiling faces, waves and hugs being shown here and seen by members of both community to ensure that the violence can now be put behind and they can move on with complete communal harmony. Clearly a gesture that is being appreciated. Remember what happened on the 10th of April when violence had broken out on the Hanuman Jayanti procession. There was pelting. Now there are eyewitnesses who claimed that the songs that were played in the procession were provocative. So there were different eyewitnesses' claims. But listen in today, days later in Jahangirpuri, what is the situation like?
सब मिलजुल के रहा बहुत बढ़िया है हिंदू मुस्लिम एक रहा भाई भाई बहुत अच्छा रहा मेरा ये पीछे मकान है मंदिर से रुके नहीं यहाँ पे
All right, so the woman there says, and I'll just take a minute to translate, that it's important and we like it, Hindus and Muslims, to live together in peace, in harmony. I live nearby, but I'm very happy to know that there is this attempt and Hindus and Muslims need to live in peace together. As you can see here, women and young girls waving the Tiranga, this yatra being organized, even rose petals being showered. All right, as you can see, holding hands there in the yatra, the Hindus and Muslims walking together, ensuring that a message of peace and harmony prevails. I was at that location, remember, there was definitely a lot of eerie calm and communal tensions prevailing few days ago, but today, escorted by police, it appears that there could be now days of peace and harmony there in Jahangirpuri area.
That was so beautiful. Thank you, Suze, for showing this to us.
Yeah.
We need hope sometimes, you know. This is like there's hope, you know. Not everything is bad, you know.
Yeah,
So,
I think
yeah.
I'm getting an echo. I think
There we
it's
go.
really
Fix it.
important because like we unfortunately cover a lot of really bad things that happen in India, like most of it. And I think we do get some good news out of India, but oftentimes we can't cover on the show because frankly, like it doesn't good news just doesn't get good engagement. Like if, no matter who you are, good news doesn't get good engagement. But I think it's important and we should be responsible for showing the other side of things, right? Like, yes. I think it's really easy for someone to become extremely biased or even become bigoted when only presented with really negative views or just cynical, just throwing up your hands and saying, you know, this is what we are resigned to essentially. And I don't think that it should be that way. So I did want to show some really good news to our audience, and because I think that's the right thing to do. And also this was just so nice and clear. The fact that this area was affected by violence so recently, and this is how the community responds, is so positive. Like, we want to reward people for good behavior, right? We want to incentivize good behavior, and we do that partially by lifting up examples of this and saying, yes, we want more of this. This makes this, like, encouraging it, celebrating it as much as possible. And it was so awesome to see, like, everyone throwing flower petals and hugging, just holding hands, like, you're my fellow citizen. We share this country together. We can wave our national flag together and say, yes, we are both citizens under this flag. I think that's very positive. Interestingly, I was looking into kind of the background of a Tiranga Yatra, which is the kind of tricolor parade. And it seems like traditionally this has been used by the BJP as a nationalist thing. I don't know if people can correct me on that if they want, but that's kind of what I found. And, I was thinking, like, if this display that we saw in New Delhi, like, this is the kind of, like, positive civic nationalism that I want to see. Like, even if this does have a more nationalist bent, saying, oh, glory to Mother India and all this kind of stuff, like, I think there can still be positive aspects to it, saying, yes, we share this nation together. Let's make this nation great together. Let's look out for our fellow citizens, no matter what community they come from. I don't, yeah. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I don't want to, okay, so there's only certain types of nationalism that we're against. There are types of nationalism that makes a lot of sense and has a lot of utility, right? Especially nationalism that brings people together and unite them together rather than nationalism that is used to create enemies. We're against that form of nationalism. But nationalism that makes people feel like they're part of the team, that they're working as a group together to build something that works for everybody, that is what we just saw right now. So, but I do want to highlight some comments because a lot of so one thing is interesting because I'm hoping like eventually more people will be included, right? Because it's good that Muslims in India, we want to make sure that they're not otherized and they feel part of India, but you also have to be conscious of not thinking like, okay, so India is Muslims and Hindus, because there are other people there too, right? Like there are a lot of atheists. And while I was thinking that, I saw somebody holding a sign of Dr. Ambedkar, right? And I'm like, well, they're saying these are Hindus and atheists, but I don't think that guy that is holding that, I don't know, like Hindu. He wasn't Hindu, right?
No.
So I mean, he was very anti-Hinduism specifically, right? So it wasn't just Hindus and Muslims, it's also people who are like other people as well. I think like maybe secularists or even atheists there as well. Like at least the people who are holding the sign of Ambedkar. Like
that's not necessarily the case.
Maybe
Ambedkar is widely celebrated across communities.
I know, but like at least I know. But people who are celebrating him, they think like you could be Indian beyond being Hindu or Muslim. You could be a Hindu who celebrates Dr. Ambedkar, but if you're somebody who celebrates him, you think like you probably are somebody who doesn't think like that you need to have a Hindu identity to be part of India. You know what I mean? Even if you yourself are a Hindu, you know what I mean? You're celebrating, so it was just so great to see somebody holding the picture of him over there.
Ambedkar's principal values were liberty, fraternity, and equality.
Yes, exactly. And he's one of arguably one of the founding fathers of modern India, isn't he?
I don't even think that's an argument. I think that's 100% true. Like, I don't even think that's an argument. He drafted the Constitution. Like,
yeah, I know. So given that he's like one of the founding fathers of modern India, it's amazing how so many people think like India is based on Hinduism when the founding father is like anything but. And he is somebody who
actively rejects Hinduism.
Yeah, exactly. So
some this nation.
Yeah, somebody who's so widely celebrated. And again, it's amazing how so many people think that we're anti-Indian when we're celebrating the founding father of modern India, and somebody who's so widely celebrated in India, right? Okay, so I'll read some comments.
Sweetie is saying, "Wow, something good is happening in Delhi."
Yes.
uh, ABC is saying flowers instead of stones and bulldozers. Yes, I think this is actually an important thing to highlight because this is around the same time that there was all that violence surrounding Ram Navami, the celebration of Lord Ram. This festival where there was violence in Delhi was for Hanuman, and to see people really turn it around and try to come together was awesome. And Bengali Hindu is saying, "I hope ordinary Hindus join them, not some activists." I can't really speak to who was in the
Both.
crowd, but
Why not both? Why
yeah,
Bengali? Why are you dissing activists? Activists are the people at the front lines trying to make a country or a place a better.
they do
Like, I don't
hard
know.
work.
We need activists. Like, I don't know why is it anti-activist hate? But yeah, continue.
Um, uh, oh, blank name is saying this is good, but this is kind of a facade to hide deeper social problems. Maybe I'm being cynical.
Okay, so the deeper, no, it's not hiding it. It's trying to address it. It's trying to tackle it. I mean, how do you think it's trying to hide it when it's indirect? Like, something bad happened, and this event is trying to. It's not hiding it. In fact, it's bringing attention to it. So nothing is being hidden. It's trying to correct it. But yeah, I mean, even if you think the correction is small compared to the problem that we have, well, because if a problem is big, you can't just ignore it because the people who are starting to address it are smaller in comparison, because you have to start somewhere, right? But yeah.
Maybe he meant like not just the communal problems, but like economic problems that give rise to these communal problems overall. I don't know.
But he
Then
agrees.
Forever Stormy is saying Ambedkar gives hope to India even in death. True.
Yeah.
Simply Baba
The
Saheb.
people, yeah, Ambedkar. Yeah, people are like, when they saw the Ambedkar's picture, like people in the live chat were like sending hearts and they were happy. So see, our community likes him. Yeah, go on.
Yes, as they should. And then Forever Stormy is giving some interesting facts, saying the BJP and its parent organization RSS rejected the tricolor for decades. They appropriate it now. They have their own saffron banner of hate. That's what I find very interesting because obviously they have the BJP flag with the little orange lotus on it. And it's, of course, they would reject the tricolor because the tricolor, well, there's different people say that there are different meanings for the different colors. So traditionally the saffron represents like the courage of India, the white represents peace, and then like truth in dharma, because that's also the same row that the dharma wheel is on. And then the green row represents like fertility, growth, also like auspicious nature of things. But then people also say, well, saffron represents Hindus, Muslims is represented by the green, and the white represents the peace between them in the middle. And so
No,
that's
the white represents us atheists and secularists. Okay,
so I
so
can see why people are
atheists
hyper
of
nationalists
India,
would oppose that flag.
atheists of India, and everybody else in India who's not a Hindu or a Muslim claim the white color of Indian's flag. That would be you, okay? So claim it. That's the white part.
Uh,
And white is a neutral. White is a neutral color, so it's actually pretty base. That could be the atheist symbol. But yeah, go on.
Katie is saying also the Hindu nationalists are also trying to appropriate Ambedkar and Bhagat Singh for among other atheists as Hindus. Yeah, this is really interesting. And you can always tell because Baba Saheb will be presented in a saffron suit, and Bhagat Singh, instead of his little, I don't know how to describe, it's almost like a fedora. Instead of his fedora, he'll have like a wrapped saffron turban on. And I'm like, oh no, this is some nationalist nonsense. And Katie is saying the same thing about how the RSS hated the tricolor. Katie is saying Ambedkar hated both Hinduism and Islam, I think. More so anti-Hinduism because of the caste system. Yeah, this is true. He also had very stark criticisms for Islam as well. He was not holding back.
I don't think most people outside of India know that the person who wrote the draft for the Constitution of India was anti-Hinduism. Like, I don't think a lot of people outside of India would be shocked about that. Like, okay, but go ahead.
Misha is, just saying wise words, Armin.
I had to highlight. Yes, that's important. Thank you.
Pluto is saying, Susanna said, Baba Saheb. I love you so much, Susanna. For those who don't know, like, Baba Saheb is a very affectionate name given to Ambedkar. I'm actually thinking of getting like a vintage Ambedkar poster for my room here.
Oh, you should do that.
Like
Yeah.
vintage, authentic. It's really cool. Sheikh B said the white represents the rest of the religions and the wheel represents Buddhism and atheists too. I've always heard that the wheel represents the wheel of Dharma and how there must always be change because stagnation brings death.
Well, the wheel of Dharma is a symbol of Buddhism.
That's
it's
also
one of
true.
the symbol. Yeah. So there's that.
Yeah. So given that stagnation brings death, I hope that India continues to allow itself to progress forward into a great nation. I think India is an incredible civilization. And yeah.
Don't have it saying...
Oh,
go on.
Dornov is saying that's good trivia to have in your back pocket, though. Did you know the person that wrote the Constitution of India hated Hinduism?
Exactly. It is okay. But okay, so just to defend him, he hated Hinduism, but he wasn't intolerant towards Hindus. Okay. Because his major problem, so a lot of people are like, oh, wait a minute, he was anti-Hindu? No. In fact, he was pro-Hindu because he was protecting the reason why he was against Hinduism. It was for the sake of Dalits and lower caste people, which happened to be Hindu. So his hate for Hinduism was because he was pro-Hindu. Okay.
He wanted to see less people suffer because of its harmful teachings. That's a very loving thing.
Exactly. Bengali Hindu is like, I think it's the wheel is Ashoka chakra, not Buddhism. Wait, so the wheel that is in Buddhism, is that a different wheel? How could you tell? Is the designs of the wheel different?
And there are different designs, but it depends. Because there's so much interplay between Buddhism and Hinduism. It gets confusing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, PK is saying he was against the ideology, not the people. Exactly. Oh yeah, and here somebody saying Ashoka was Buddhist for okay, yeah. Maybe the design is like different in Hinduism and Buddhism. I don't know. Anyways, Susie, for the next news, you're sharing the screen. Oh, you're saying a second. Waiting for a second. Susie's finding it.
You put me on the spot.
Oh, Ashoka. People are saying Ashoka took it from Buddhism, which is weird because Buddhism takes takes everything from Hinduism, and then Hindu is like, oh, it's a nice religion you made out of our religion there. Let's take some of your religion. They're like, we like what you did with Hinduism. Maybe like take some of your symbols and bring it back here.
Okay, finally ready. That took a second. Okay. I'm ready.
Okay. I have to stream.
Wait. Okay. Are you gonna clap with me?
Yes, I am. Well, next news.
Atheist Republic emojis guys, because we got remonetized, that means that we can have channel memberships again. And because we can have channel memberships again, that means that we can have emojis for people who are members on our YouTube channel. So because members get special perks, like you can come up and actually ask your question live on air when we're doing Q&As. And you can also make use of our emojis, and very soon we will have badges for our users as well. And yes, okay, here's the thing: when we're on StreamYard, the
We can't
badges don't
highlight
look
them.
good.
Yeah.
Like
No,
for us, when we highlight it, it just looks like this. But in the live
but
chat,
on YouTube, it looks really cool. And on YouTube live chat, it looks really cool. But we can't show it here. It looks exactly what like Susanna is showing on the screen. We have sexy Kelly. We have me yelling. We have Susanna.
Let me make this bigger. Here we go.
Oh, we have Susanna licking the Quran.
Yes, we have the Quran licking emoji.
Yes. So this is accessible to whoever is a YouTube member. You have access to these emojis. We have the Allah is gay emoji. Oh, look at that's Kelly. The blue one
We
is
have
Kelly.
a goddess Kali, sexy Kali emoji.
Yes.
She's going.
I like it. No, you know why it's so cute that Kelly is going like that? Because in all depictions of Kelly, well, not
She has her tongue out.
She has her tongue out, like she's like very aggressive, like a warrior type woman, and she's like shout, like had her mouth open and her tongue is out, right? So because it's so famous to depict her, but the cute version of her, she still has her tongue out, but instead of being a warrior and have her tongue out, she's just going like like a cute little baby. Guys, so if you're a member, if you're a YouTube member, use the emojis. So we have two Islam ones, which is Allah is gay one, and also Susanna licking the Quran. And we have one Hindu ones. We have to make more Hindu themed emojis for our members.
Okay, here's the deal. We have more emojis ready. We have more emojis in the vault, you guys. Like we have a little meditating, like Sanghi, like yogi Armin. We have a yogi Armin in saffron robes. we have a Saint Susanna emoji. We have so many more emojis. But the thing is, we are maxed out. So if we get more members, we need only 7 more members before we can have more emojis. So this is, if you guys want us to unleash more emojis upon unleash the emojis upon the people, please consider supporting us by becoming a member. You get to use these silly little emojis while you're watching this live. You can also use them just when you comment on our channel as well. It's really fun to interact with people this way.
You could use as a comment after the stream is over too?
Yeah.
The members can use them. Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. And my favorite is like when Armin is yelling, people putting the Armin yelling emoji in the chat.
Yeah. And also Susie like looking like laughing nervously while I'm yelling.
There's Susie eating popcorn. That's for when you're just yelling and going off, and I'm like, oh my god. There's also me, the sweat smile when I'm like,
Yeah, guys. So we need 7 more members to be able to add more emojis. So, and also, guys, if you're in the live chat, use some of these emojis if you're a member.
God, these are my favorite.
The
Quran look is good. Allah is gay. Yeah. We also have Armin whispering into the mic. Armin up close.
Yeah. No, I wish we could highlight them. Like Secular Sekai is using right now the you eating popcorn one, but we can't highlight them. Like our streamer needs to get on there so we can see the emojis when we highlight them. But you guys can see it in the live chat.
I think anyway, if we add them to our Twitch, but because you can see emojis when you on Twitch, but you can't for YouTube. It's super weird.
Yeah. Twitch users, I think, should have it. Twitch followers should have access to it. But anyways, cool. I don't know how Twitch works. We need like a mod. Like we need a Twitch expert to help us with the modding of our Twitch. Yeah. Anyways, okay, cool. That was fun. I like how the last news is always about something fun or Atheist Republic related. we end things on
Yes.
a slightly positive note, or sometimes very positive note. Okay, cool. Today, guys, today we had two good news from India. So that I think is worth a like. So please make sure you give this video a like so you could help our channel grow. We will try, guys, and also because a lot of people think like, you know, the news from India, a lot of it what we're covering is bad. We are, you know, I mean, we, as I say, we as if I doing anything. Susanna is actually actively keeping her eye open on good news in India as well, right? So we just don't paint a one-sided picture. Okay, so she works a lot in researching and figuring out what the news is about before each one of these streams, and you get all of this coverage for free. So please like this video. That doesn't cost you anything other than half a second, and it really helps grow our channel. So please just doesn't just like the video. Okay, that's huge support to us, huge support. Okay, we wouldn't be asking if it didn't have an impact. Okay, so thank you for
And
that.
if you're able, consider supporting us through Patreon, link in the description. You get access to all of our sexy blasphemous art. Or as a member, you get to ask your questions live on air. You get to get our emojis, because we would not be able to do what we do without the support of our members and patrons. Because it's not just me, it's not just Armin. We have a lot of people who do things behind the scenes, like our writers, our editors, and it's possible because of you guys. So thank you.
Okay, so PK saying things in India are bad. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But okay, so things in India are good also. Like there are good things that are happening in India, and I think like you can't just like look at the bad things and just like give up. You know, you need to look at the good so you have hope for how things could be. So you motivate people to make a difference. If you look at the bad and just, you know, be sad about it and just like wash your hands off of it and just be like complaining about it is not good enough, because then you're just letting it happen, right? You need to actually stand up and try to like tackle all the problems, and to get more people motivated to make things better, you have to show them the possibilities. So highlighting good news is showing the potential and motivating
There's something worth
people.
fighting for.
Yeah, to show that there's things that we're fighting for. Exactly. All right, so great. All right, guys, this was fun. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your comments. Very good comments here today, and we appreciate you spending time with each other. We had fun with you, and we'll see you again soon in the next stream. Bye.
Bye.